This is the Louie T Network.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report Live. I can't even keep the smile back. I'm so excited tonight. It's starting to finally sink in what we did on Sunday night, man. I was so overwhelmed with just awe on Sunday night that I really didn't process what had happened. I think Monday it started to really kind of soak in, okay, we might actually be good, not just as a team, but defensively, which gives us a shot. Today, I'm more like, okay, we're going to find, and I'm kind of posing the question to myself the same way, the same scenario, essentially, I'm playing it over and over in my head like I did last week. We're going to find out a lot about the makeup of this team and just how good we are, because I thought that last week was a test versus the Raiders. We passed that with flying colors. We're going to see a totally different test, because I can assure you that the Chiefs aren't going to lay down. The Chiefs aren't going to allow us to emasculate them. The Chiefs aren't going to allow us to punk them. The Chiefs aren't going to allow us to put them to sleep like the Raiders did. All right. They're going to come out guns a-blazing. They're going to come and give us everything we could ask for and then some. And that's going to be a fight. And whether we win, lose, draw, we're going to know we were in a fight after we play the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is going to be the biggest test we've had of the season, by far and away. Not even close, not up for debate. And we're going to find out where we really stand, not just in the NFC, but in the NFL, because the Chiefs right now are one of the best teams. Remember, there are only 2 undefeated teams in the league right now. And one of them happens to be the Kansas City Chiefs. We got to go to Arrowhead, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. For the last time, celebrate! We whooped the Oakland Raiders' ass last week. Celebrate! This is the last night we get to talk about this, and then we got to move on. We got bigger fish to fry, and we got more things in front of us in the horizon. So we don't have time to sit here and pat ourselves on the back. We got to move on. Just as if this was a loss and we were ready to get this out of our system and ready to talk about the next game, same thing applies here. Just because you get a big win doesn't mean you get to bask in the win the entire week. No. You celebrate it for a couple days, and then we got to move on. And so we're going to do that tonight. We're going to bow and go this thing, and then we're going to prepare ourselves for Monday Night Football, another primetime game, and we'll get into all the particulars. But first, before I even get into all of that, welcome to the program. Of course, I'm your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report Live. And last night, or Sunday night, was nerve-wracking. I don't know about you. We're going to get into some different things. The show's going to be a little bit different tonight. 7-on-7 isn't the same 7-on-7 as you have become accustomed to. We'll get to that in a second. But Sunday night was a great night for a Redskins fan. And it's a night that we haven't seen in these parts, in those types of games, in quite some time. Like I said, the last time I felt that satisfied, that sense of gratification that came over me after that game was done, the last time I felt that way was in 2012 when we beat the Cowboys in the final game of the season to clinch the division, knock the Cowboys out of the playoff race, and all in one fell swoop get a home playoff game. That was the last time on primetime television I felt that good after a Redskins win. And that wasn't even a dominant performance. That was just a win over our most hated rival to not only get into the playoffs and knock them out of playoff contention, but also it culminated a hell of a season in which we were once 3-6 and ran off 7 straight to get to 10-6 and win the division with what we thought was going to be the quarterback of the future, Robert Griffin III. So that was an exhilarating game. But in terms of sheer dominance, I don't know if I've ever seen a Redskin game that lopsided against a team that was perceived to be that good. I couldn't have seen that coming. If one of you out there saw it coming, you must be Nostradamus or something. I couldn't have seen that coming in a million years. I just didn't. So in any event, we're going to jump into 7-on-7, then the bow and go. Then we're going to talk about that Chiefs game upcoming in week 4, right before our bye. Remember, we got an early week 5 bye this year. And I must say we need it. It's crazy because you look at all the guys that we have down. Mason Foster didn't play. He was down. Jordan Reed, of course, didn't play. He was down. Rob Kelly didn't play. He was down. And now add Ty and Secchi to the list of guys that are going to be down. And I'm hearing his injury is a significant one that will keep him out of the lineup for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. So could be even longer. So this bye week, I must say, is probably well-timed. Because if I'm the Redskins, I don't play Jordan Reed, nor Rob Kelly, nor do I play Mason Foster, because you got a bye week coming up. Why? Allow these guys the extra week to rest up. So that would be 3 weeks total for those guys. And if you reevaluate them sometime in that week leading up to the game versus San Francisco in week 6, and then you move forward there. But no reason to put these guys at risk. You got an extra week of rest coming their way. Just allow them to totally heal up as much as possible before you throw them back in the fire. So if a guy can go, like I was surprised about Mason Foster being inactive because all I had heard all week is that he practiced. So I just assumed that he was going to play. And then when I saw the list of inactives before the game and I saw Mason Foster was the first name on the list, I was like, wait a minute. I thought he was playing. So if Mason Foster can go next week, I would just hold him out for precautionary reasons. I would not take a chance with Mason, Jordan Reed, or Rob Kelly next week. I would let all 3 of those guys sit, and I would wait until week 6. And if they were ready to go in week 6 versus San Francisco, you bring them back then. But I wouldn't bring them back prior to the bye. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think we have enough depth, and that's what we heard all offseason. And I mocked this depth after the first preseason game versus the Ravens, and a lot of guys didn't play. And that's why the depth looked not as good as we had heard all offseason. But to tell you the truth, we do have depth, the most depth. And now I'm starting to see what Doug Williams and Jay Gruden and all of these personnel staff members were referring to when they started talking about the depth on this roster this season and how it was the best that they've seen in Washington since they've been here. I get it now. I understand. This is by far and away the most depth we've had on this roster, and it's not close. And so while in past years, Jordan Reed being out would be a hindrance to this offense, and trust me, we still want him in the game, we can afford to have him spend another week out of the lineup if it means that he'll be healthier moving forward for the remainder of the season. So with Vernon Davis doing what he did in week 2 and week 3, you feel comfortable knowing, hey, if Jordan needs to sit down an additional week, go right ahead. We got Niles Paul, we got Vernon Davis, we got Jeremy Sprinkle, we're fine. Go ahead, rest up. Same with Mason Foster. In past years, when you lose a linebacker like Mason Foster, a guy that's a tackling machine for your football team, a physical presence in the run game, usually you're like, man, how fast can we get you back on the field? But when you look around and you see a guy like Martrell Spate playing the way he played, knowing you still got Will Compton on the bench if need be, you're not as hard-pressed to say, hey, man, get back out there. We need you. All right? Again, same thing can be said for Rob Kelly. Everyone's dying to see what Mac can do out there. We all want to see what Mac Brown is about. So I'm definitely like, hey, if Samaj's out and Rob Kelly isn't ready to go, hey, let's see what Matt can do. Now, obviously, if both of those guys are out, and what you might have to do in that situation, if you think Rob Kelly can go, is you dress him, because right now we're down to 2 backs, right? So, and Jay's made it apparently clear, abundantly clear, that he does not want Chris Thompson taking first and second down carries and snaps all throughout the game. He does not want him to be the lead back. He loves him as a third down back. He loves him as a change of pace back. He doesn't want to make his burden and load any heavier than it already is. And the man played 41% of the snaps in this past week's game. So his snap count is going up and up and up. But Jay doesn't want to make him the lead dog, and I understand why. He's too valuable to what we're doing in this operation. And so at the end of the day, you want to go at least dressed into the game with 3 backs. So what I think you should do is, if Rob Kelly is cleared to go and he feels comfortable going, you dress him, but you have no intentions of playing. You let Mac Brown take all of the carries, and the ones that he doesn't take, Chris Thompson's in the game for. And if something were to happen to Brown, boom, you stick Rob Kelly out there and you keep it moving. But maybe you got to sign another back. That may be the move here, just to make sure you're okay, just in case you're not comfortable with Rob Kelly being active. You may have to sign another back. I'm not comfortable with just going into the game with 2 backs. That I'm not comfortable with. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. That'll be an interesting dilemma for this Redskins football team if Rob Kelly isn't able to go. I heard that he wanted to go in week 3 versus the Raiders and was surprised when he was inactive. So if that's how he feels and he was that close, and I don't know if he was really that close or not. It's all hearsay. It's all speculation. But if he was even that close, then I suspect that he'll probably be ready to at least dress, if nothing else, in week 4 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But in any event, let's get to 7-on-7. And it's going to be a little bit of a different 7-on-7 experience this week. And how I want to approach the 7-on-7 this week is, I don't want to go over the 7 offensive and 7 defensive takeaways this week, because there were so many takeaways from this game, and there were so many things that we all enjoyed. And I kind of got caught up in all of the emotions that I had watching this game and all of the different thoughts that ran through my mind as this game came to its conclusion. And over the last 2 days, I've asked myself so many different questions, and I'm like, I want to ask the Redskin faithful, I want to ask the family how they feel about some of these things that I've been kind of playing around with in my mind. And I want a different perspective other than my own. So I want to chop it up with you guys, like literally have a conversation with you guys about these topics. And I picked out 7 questions that I have for you guys. I'm going to answer the question first, and then in certain instances, I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to allow you guys, I'm going to pose the question, and I want you guys to answer first. And I got 7 questions, and I'm going to ask them in the same way that I do with the 7-on-7. I'm going to start with the least important question, but they're all important. That's why they're on the list. But the least important question, which is number 7, working our way up to the number 1 important question, the most important question after this week 3 demolition of the Oakland Raiders on Sunday Night Football. The biggest question that I have for you guys, we're going to do this 7-on-7 style. And I'm going to start with number 7. So, first question is, this is more of a micro approach here, just kind of focusing on this Raiders game initially, and then the questions as we get closer and closer to 1 become broader and broader and more of a macro approach, more of a season impact type of question. So initially we'll focus in on this Raiders game because there were so many things that we all liked, had to have loved watching this game. And so I want to talk about those things first. And I really want to get your opinions and your feelings as you were watching this game. So we start with number 7. What was your favorite part and biggest surprise in Sunday's win? And what was going through your mind at halftime of this game? Redskins up 14-0 in dominant fashion, but yet you look up at the scoreboard and it's only 14-0. So I'll knock these down one at a time, and then I'm going straight to the comments, and I want you guys to answer this. So I'll ask it again. What was your favorite part and biggest surprise of Sunday's game? And what was your thought process? Where was your mind at during halftime of this game? What did you feel after watching the Redskins dominate this game in the first half, yet the Redskins were only up 14-0? So I'll take the first part of this question. What was my favorite part? My favorite part of this game, without a doubt, was Josh Doctson going up and getting the football and scoring that touchdown. That was probably my favorite part. In addition to the point where I looked at the Raiders and I said, they've quit. We punked them. They want no parts of what we're dishing out tonight. They've quit. Michael Crabtree went to the locker room. Derek Carr was defeated. The offensive line wanted no parts. Marshawn Lynch only had 6 carries, and DJ Swearinger lit him up, and he wanted no more. They had waved the white flag, and so I think I got that sense pretty much after the Doctson touchdown at 21-0. I said we got their heart. They want no parts of this football game at all. And even though we fumbled the ball and they scored a touchdown and they cut it to 21-7 and they got it to 24-10, I never once thought this Raiders team is coming back. They've been so inept. I said, only way they come back is if we continue to make mistakes. They had quit after the Doctson touchdown. That was my favorite part of the game because he had been through so much. He needed to play. He needed something to boost his confidence. And more importantly, Kirk Cousins' confidence in him. Him making that play makes Kirk Cousins think, hey, I can throw him the football more. He's going to make plays for me. Because Kirk said that wasn't a great ball, which I actually disagree. I thought that was a tremendous ball. That's exactly how you want to throw that football and allow a guy with the skill set of a Josh Doctson to go up and get it. You don't want to throw it too far because the defender actually had great position. But in 50-50 situations like that, throw it up, allow your guy to go get it, and that's what he did. He climbed the ladder, went and got the football, put his nutsack on the helmet of D.A., came down with the rock, pushed him out the way. Get out the way, man. I'm going in the end zone. Touchdown. Beautiful. Favorite part of the game. The biggest surprise in Sunday's game was just the total domination over the Raiders' offense and how good we looked defensively. Probably, if you want to narrow the focus even more so, the biggest surprise was we got pressure on the quarterback consistently in this game with just 4. Never expected that in my wildest dreams. I just didn't. I didn't expect us to get consistent pressure on Derek Carr in this game with just 4 guys. I didn't expect us to shut down their passing game as effectively and efficiently as we did. I mean, we made it look easy. I didn't see that coming. I don't think any Redskin fan saw that coming. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I said, if we're going to beat the Raiders, we're going to have to score 30, and we're going to have to keep them at 24 or 27. But never did I think that this was a game that we could win by dominating them and basically keeping them out of the end zone. And finally, my thoughts at halftime were this. I watched Cincinnati dominate the Green Bay Packers in the 4 o'clock hour. And they were up 21-3, I believe, at halftime. Like sheer total domination over the Packers. 21-7, 21-3, something to that effect at halftime. And they looked like they could not be stopped in that game. And then Green Bay came out in the second half, and it was a total role reversal. They dominated the second half of this game, took it to overtime, and wound up winning, did the Green Bay Packers. And all I could think of was, we look like how Cincinnati looked versus Green Bay, except more dominant. Yet, the difference in the game was right around the same. I think their game was 21-7 at half. Ours was 14-0 at half. So I felt like for as good as we looked, and I was sick to my stomach over that last possession before the half, I actually wanted Jay Gruden to be more aggressive there. Try to get the field goal. Try to get some more points. Don't be afraid to be aggressive. And I know you don't want to give the Raiders any momentum. They haven't done anything. You don't want to turn the football over on downs at the 41. I just thought there was an opportunity to be more aggressive in that spot. They hadn't stopped us. A quarterback sneak would have picked up the first down. I would have loved to have seen us be aggressive in that spot, pick up the first down, go get a field goal, and extend that lead to 17-0 at half. But in any event, my thought process was, we better not let these boys come back, play inspired football after halftime, and come back and take this game from us. So I wasn't sold yet. I still didn't fully believe what my eyes had saw in the first half. And so that's where I was at halftime. Don't blow this, fellas. We've worked too hard. We look too good. Don't blow this in the second half. All right, so I want to get to your comments, and I want to see what you guys have to say. All right. Camden Dorian says, you are the smartest NFL guy on YouTube. Keep up the fantastic work. Hey, man, I appreciate that. I really, really do. Appreciate it a lot. Extreme Archery USA says, do you think Thompson will do good if they game plan for him? I'm assuming you mean the Chiefs game planning to stop him. And every team should game plan to stop Chris Thompson after what he's turned in the first 3 games. You would be remiss, and honestly, you would be doing your defense a disservice if you don't plan on stopping. You need to treat Chris Thompson like you would have treated Deshaun Jackson if he was still on this roster, like you would treat Jordan Reed if he were in the lineup. You have to now do that for Chris Thompson. When 25 is in the game, you must know where he is at all times, and you must treat him like a special, dynamic playmaker, because that is exactly what he is. And if you don't, if you just treat him like a normal back that is in the game, he's going to hurt you like he hurt the Rams, like he hurt the Raiders, and to an extent, like he hurt the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1. You can no longer treat Chris Thompson like he's not a dynamic, integral part of this football team offensively, and not a premier player that you must know where he is on the field at all times. You must treat him as such now. And so all that means is that with the attention that he should be getting, that should open up plays for other guys, because we've seen the Jordan Reed effect. We know what the Deshaun Jackson effect looks like and what that means for the defense and how that opens up things for other guys. That's what Chris Thompson's impact on the game should be. Even if he's not eating the way, and I still think he's going to eat regardless, because if you put a linebacker or a safety on him, he's going to win. 9 times out of 10, he's going to win. So if you dedicate a corner to him, that means you're taking a corner away from another spot on the field. In any event, that's going to help someone else out. That's going to allow someone else to win a matchup or be open in a zone, and that's going to allow other guys to be able to make plays. So we'll see what teams try to do to take him away. And if you're referring to the Redskins game planning for him, they game plan for Chris Thompson every week, which is why he's had the success to start this season off like he has. Eagle Speed says, can't wait for the week 7. For week 7, he says, because I know you want that rematch with the Eagles. We do, but we're not worried about that right now, because if we don't play good football leading up to week 7 and the Eagles do, that rematch won't mean a damn thing. You know, it'll only be for pride. And I'm not out for pride right now. I'm out for blood. I'm out for winning games and putting ourselves in the best position to win this division. And so because that's where the eye is on the prize, week 7 isn't even close. I tell my girlfriend all the time, because she likes to plan trips, 6 months, a year in advance, 2 years in advance. I'm like, I can't even see past this weekend. Like, you're talking to me about 6 weeks from now. You're talking to me about 6 months from now, a year from now. I can't even see past this weekend. What are we doing this weekend? Like, my brain doesn't work that way. I'm not wired to look into week 7 when we're in week 4. My brain is wired, okay, we got the Chiefs next, we got a bye week, we got the San Francisco 49ers, and then we got the Eagles. I'm trying to beat the Chiefs first, go on this bye week, get healthy, come off the bye, beat San Francisco, then I'll talk to you about the Eagles in week 7. But right now, I got tunnel vision, man. I can't focus but on one thing at a time, and the next team up on the hit list is the Kansas City Chiefs. Matthew123 says, do you think Doxson will continue to get more targets from Kirk? We need a wide receiver to step up and be our number one. It'd be nice if he assumed that role, but right now it's really hard to say what's going to happen. You'd like to think after Doxson made that play that he would get more targets from Kirk because he gained some trust from Kirk on that throw and that catch. And so I'd like to think he'd be a guy to get some more targets in week 4, but you don't know. The NFL is funny like that. We'll see what happens. SW Mike says, I hope that the fact that we wear the same color uniforms does not affect the aspect of the game. I don't know what will happen. The Chiefs love to wear their red uniforms at home. So it'll be interesting to see if that will force the Redskins to have to change to their white uniforms. Because right now we've had it set up where we haven't had to switch to the unis because usually at the beginning of the season, home teams like to wear their white uniforms at home because it's still warm outside. So obviously we all know that darker colors attract the heat of the sun. And so they use that as an advantage when they're at home by wearing their white jerseys so that the other team is more tired and exhausted because the sun is shining on them and beaming on them, much more affecting them in terms of their energy level. That's the thought process behind a lot of teams wearing white uniforms at home early in the season. As the season progresses and it gets a little bit colder out, you'll see teams go back to the traditional, solid color uniform at home, i.e. the Rams normally wear their blue uniforms at home. Well, they wore the white uniforms at home when we played them because it was hot and they wanted us to wear the darker color uniforms, which would give them the advantage. And you see that around the league early in the season. And as the season wears on, you'll start to see teams wearing their solid color uniforms at home, which will then force us to have to make the switch to the white uniforms. We haven't had to wear them all season long, but we'll see what happens in this Monday night game. America's Last says, please, one more time, say Kansas City Chiefs. I love that accent. Okay. I'm going to say it a ton more. We got the Chiefs up this week. You're going to hear this a ton of times. But for you, anything, man. The Kansas City Chiefs. That's a big game. And we're going to talk more about the Chiefs throughout this program. Boba Sis says, like the Raiders, the Chiefs are mortal men. I love our chances next Monday. Bring them on HTTR. Estevan Lama says, you the man, Louie. Hey, I appreciate that. No doubt. Amic89 says, if we beat the Chiefs, we might get a home playoff berth and the hardest team we have on our schedule by far. Too early to start using the P word. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But it's only week 4. But this is a big game. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Corey Fiddleman says, what's good, fam? What a game. Hopefully we do it again Monday night. Hashtag HTTR for life. All right. So, got to some of your comments. I want some of you guys to answer the question that I posed. And so let's get to some answers to the question that I posed here earlier. So my man AP9000 says, loved how they played on primetime, but reality hit me real quick since we have Kansas City up next. Time to look at them. So his biggest thing that he enjoyed of the game was us just playing on primetime. And absolutely, I can't deny that. The fact that we went out and stepped up on primetime. We've done it on Sunday night. We haven't done it on Thursday nor Monday night. So this is another challenge in itself. Camden Dorian says, finally get to shut up the Doc haters. And that was his favorite part of the game is Josh Doxson, much like mine, him going up, getting that football and making that play and shutting up some of those guys. And so that was probably the biggest takeaway from him in the game. Let's see. AP9000 says, at halftime, I was very nervous. We've seen them blow way too many leads by beating themselves. I was still nervous at halftime, too, and I told you how I felt at halftime. I felt like, I'd seen Cincinnati blow a lead just earlier, just literally 3 hours prior. So I still was nervous. I still wanted more separation between us and them. 14 wasn't enough. We've seen the Raiders score points at a very rapid rate this year. I watched them the week previous versus the Jets. The game was like 14-10 at halftime. I mean, the Jets were in that ball game. And then, I mean, literally within 5 minutes of game time, it went from 14-10 to like 31-10. I mean, it happened so fast. And so 14-0 is nothing. When you're talking about a team that is as explosive as the Raiders are, I still was nervous at halftime, no doubt. Camden Dorian says, the biggest surprise was the Raiders offense getting smothered by my Redskins defense. And at the half, I was thinking, okay, Redskins, don't blow this one. So we were all kind of thinking the same thing right now. No doubt. At halftime, we were all thinking, don't blow this. We've played too well. Do not blow this one. Extreme Archery USA says his favorite part of the game was when Monte Nicholson picked it off in our D-line and I went nuts. Halftime, I was like, oh boy, Skins, don't screw this up. We killing them right now because classic Skins give up the lead and lose. So, yeah, we were pretty much, as a Redskins fan, you're preconditioned to think the worst. Like I said, as a Redskins fan, my motto has always been hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and expect the worst. You know, and I've always hoped for the best for my Skins, but you've been preconditioned to expect the worst. And so we were all kind of thinking the same thing. Corey Fitterman says his favorite part was Jay Doxson's touchdown. He says his biggest surprise was Monte's play, and his thought process at halftime was, man, our defense is becoming legit. I thought the same thing, but I said this second half it could be a tale of two halves. So I thought about that at halftime, but my biggest thing was, look, don't blow this, fellas. We played too well. Come out, we get the ball first, go down, score, put this game away, and continue to dominate them on the defensive side of football and see if we can't really put this game away. And so it was a great first half defensive performance. I didn't know if we could do that again in the second half. Again, it still hadn't sunk in at that point that, man, we're dominating these guys. Like, is this real? And so Boba Sis says his favorite part of the game was the defense being ultra aggressive, especially that hit Swear to put on beast mode. And my thought to himself at halftime was, oh my, we're in here. Like, he started to really realize, yo, we doing this. Like, this is legit. We doing this. Like, it was crazy, man. That was crazy. AP 9000 says his favorite part of the game it's a two-part. He says the Nicholson pick and then the Fuller pick. He said, sorry, but the defense made me way happier to be a Skins fan that game than the offense. Hey, no need to apologize for that, man. None at all. I just was so surprised, as all of you were, just reading your comments. You guys were surprised as well. So let's get back to 7-on-7 here, and we go to number 6. Who impressed you most in the Redskins' 27-10 dominant win over the Oakland Raiders? Who impressed you most? Number 6 on our 7-on-7 is who impressed you most with their performance in the win over the Raiders on Sunday. I'll give you mine, and then you can give me yours. I got one on offense and one on defense. You don't have to give me one on each side of the football, but I'm going to give you one on both sides of the football. The offensive one shouldn't come as a surprise. CT scanned those boys. He was outstanding, almost had 200 yards of all-purpose offense. He was outstanding. The 75-yard screen on 3rd and 18 was ridiculous. The touchdown catch when nobody covered him out of the backfield was awesome. His continued maturation out of the backfield to make it look like he's in blitz protection, only to come out of the backfield and break off a linebacker and get open and win. His immediacy out of the backfield, making himself a target to Kirk Cousins when things aren't open down the field. He can check it down quickly to CT and allow him to pick up a first down like he did on that 3rd and 8 where he dumped it down to Chris Thompson at 5 yards, and Thompson was able to get the football up the field and pick up the first down. I mean, he was outstanding offensively and defensively. The guy that surprised me the most was Monte Nicholson. I mean, you know how I felt about him coming out of Michigan State. I was not high on that draft pick. I saw flashes. Remember, we talked about this last week. I told you I saw flashes from him in the Rams game in week 2. But I could not have anticipated this man coming in and playing. And right now, he's putting somewhat of a stranglehold on the safety position. Like, I don't want to jump the gun, but what we've seen in these last 2 games from Monte Nicholson has been nothing short of remarkable. I mean, the pick on the first possession, are you kidding me? I mean, his athleticism, his speed, we knew he possessed all those things. I told you that at the combine. Like, this guy's impressive, but the tape will tell the story, and I wasn't impressed with the tape. Nobody, but if you go ask anybody, no one was impressed with this tape. It wasn't just me. Now, I wasn't impressed with this tape for different reasons than other people were, but I wasn't impressed with this tape, and a lot of people weren't impressed with this tape. No one was expecting this from Monte Nicholson, and for him to come in, make the plays that he's made. 2 weeks in a row, he's lit a receiver up. Last week, he lit Gerald Everett up, and he had to leave the game. This week, he lights Krabs up, who wanted no part of that hit, left the game after that. Monte Nicholson was the biggest surprise in the game for me defensively. Chris Thompson offensively. And it shouldn't have been a surprise to me what CT did, but it was still a surprise seeing this guy. You know how good he is. You've seen what he's done in the first 2 weeks. And for him to still be able to have the amount of space and have the ability to operate the way that he's been able to without teams keying in on him, that's surprising to me. So I was surprised by his performance. So I posed the question to you guys. So let's see what you have to say. And I apologize for all the comments that I'm skipping over, but I'm trying to handle this segment, and I want the answers to the questions. So I'm skipping over all the comments that aren't related to the questions that I'm asking. And we'll come back and we'll circle back and maybe answer some of those questions that you guys have. And maybe you'll have some of your questions answered by some of the questions that I'm asking and some of the responses that we get from people. So hold tight. Camden Dorian says that his most surprising player in this game was Josh Doctson. He said he finally showed up. So his most surprising player was Josh Doctson, and I can't disagree with that. You know, I don't have a big gripe with that because the man doesn't have a catch going into this game, this season, and he hasn't looked like a guy that was going to have a catch in this game. He had a drop earlier in the game, and I didn't think Kirk was going to come back to him, to be honest with you. I said that on Sunday Night Football overtime, that I didn't think Kirk was going to come back to him after the one drop. And Kirk turned down Terrell Pryor running the same exact route on the opposite side of the field, and he could have cut it loose on that side. But you saw him pump that way, and then he reset, and he went to Josh Doctson and said, I'm going to give Josh a shot. I'm going to give Doc a shot. And it paid off huge dividends. Matthew Lynch says, Nicholson coming in with big plays was his biggest surprise player of this game. That was mine on the defensive side of the football, no doubt. Corey Fitterman says, I got Preston Smith and Matt on defense. So he has 2, Matt Ioannidis and Preston Smith on the defensive side of football. Again, 2 guys that have been playing their asses off this season. I told you the light bulb has went on for Preston Smith. He's a different football player right now. And for Matt Ioannidis, I knew he had the potential to be this good. I just didn't know if he would ever reach this potential. And if he was going to reach it, I didn't expect him to reach it this soon and quickly. He's been outstanding this year. He's probably been the most improved player along with Kendall Fuller on this Redskins team in terms of second-year players. I mean, you got these young guys really stepping in and contributing in their second year, and it's refreshing to see young guys. And we got young guys all over this team contributing, which hasn't been the case for this Redskins organization in the past, which really gives us a cause for hope and optimism in terms of the talent and what this organization is doing in terms of drafting and bringing in talent in their evaluation process. You got to be really pleased with what they've done because these young guys are playing at a very high level. Extreme Archery USA says, I thought Jonathan Allen was consistently getting pressure on a top 4 guard, and at the worst for a rookie, that is amazing. So his guy that surprised him the most was Jonathan Allen. I thought he was outstanding in this game. So I think this, without a doubt, was his best game in this young season, in his young NFL career. I thought you saw what this guy could be for us moving forward. Dominic Garland says he's got Monte Nicholson as his most surprising player in week number 3. Amic89 actually went with a player on the opposite team. He says, Derek Carr surprised me that he played so bad. He didn't see that coming. I don't think any of us did, but you got to give credit to this Redskins defense for kind of taking it to him, his offensive line, and really erasing his receivers and making it hard for him to get the football out in timely fashion. Boba Sis says, on offense, I'd give it to CT25. On defense, DJ Swearinger. He's inching closer into that revolving door at safety permanently. And you know what? I've already put him down as a fix to the safety position. We need 2. He's 1. We found an answer at one of the. Remember, we needed 2 safeties, not just 1, because we thought Sua Cravens was going to be 1, but we couldn't be sure of that. Well, now we know Sua Cravens isn't going to be a plausible option back there, so we needed 2. He's 1 for sure. Who's the other? Monte Nicholson looking like that other guy right now, but we're going to see. But for sure, DJ Swearinger, without a doubt, is that guy right now. AP 9000 says, hard to say. I'll say Nicholson for looking like a legit safety, and also Swearinger for continuing to be a great addition to our whole team. Also, P. Boogie was balling, so he couldn't make up his mind. He couldn't narrow it down to just 1. He went with 3. Or really 2, both safeties, and an honorable mention in P. Boogie. And again, I can't disagree with any of those selections. Matthew123 said, it's really hard to choose. Got to go with Monte because I was getting nervous about our safeties after the Sua situation and didn't expect such a big game from a 4th-round rookie. I don't think any of us did. And I think that's been one of the biggest revelations to this season. And we'll talk about that actually here in a second. Cole Hunt says, Preston Smith impressed me. Just hope he can string it together through the season. I think everyone is hoping that this isn't just a tease because he's done this before. Remember in his rookie year where he had that tear at the end of the season when we went on that run to make the playoffs in 2015 in Preston Smith's rookie season? Remember, he started off the season extremely slow, then finished the season on a tear and ended up with like 7.5, 8.5 sacks that season. And like literally 5 or 6 of those sacks came in the final 5 weeks of the season. Like he went off at the end of the season, including like a 2-3 sack game in that Philly division clincher on the road on, I want to say it was Christmas Eve. So he was outstanding at the end, but then we didn't get that same carryover to the next year. And so he goes in stretches. We're hoping that this is a year-long thing and not just an aberration at the beginning of the season. Des Got Game 421 says, Matt Ioannidis controlling the line of scrimmage. I think that Matt Ioannidis was outstanding and has been to me, and I've been telling you about this. He's been outstanding the entire season, and I think it was magnified because of just how well the entire defensive line played in week number 3. Alvin Nelson says, who impressed me the most was Preston Smith. So another P. Boogie. I thought P. Boogie was outstanding, man. I thought he was outstanding as well. All right, great. So we go back to 7-on-7, and now we go to number 5 on my 7 biggest questions for you guys after the 27-10 win over the Oakland Raiders. And number 5, what player do you believe needs more snaps on this football team? After watching the first 3 games, and we're starting to transition from more of a micro approach to a macro approach. So now we're looking bigger picture. As the season progresses, you're looking at a player in particular and you're saying, man, this guy's playing outstanding football. He needs more snaps. Or on the offensive side, he needs more touches. Who's that guy for you on this football team right now as we stand heading into Kansas City week 4? Who's the player that you look at and you say, this guy needs more snaps? I want to see more from fill in the blank. I'm going to let you guys answer this first, and then I'll tell you my answer after we get some comments from you guys. So I'll let you guys handle this one first, and then I will give you my answer afterwards. So in the meantime, I'll just pick out a couple of more comments. Melvin Gloson says, on defense, Preston Smith. On offense, CT. Those were his 2 standout players for the game in week number 3. But the number 5 question is, who needs more snaps? Doesn't matter offensive side of the football, defensive, could be special teams. I don't care. Who do you think needs more snaps? What player right now going into week 4 and possibly moving on in this season needs more snaps on this Redskins roster as you see fit? Amic89 says Vernon Davis. Look, Vernon Davis needs more touches. I think everyone is in consensus with that when this guy touches the football, good things happen. It seems like he only gets a ton of targets when Jordan Reed is out of the lineup. And they're acting as if there's not enough space at the tight end position for both of these guys to get touches, which is totally false. They can have Jordan Reed out there doing what he does and still have Vernon Davis out there. We run 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets all the time. I'd love to see Vernon Davis touch it. I agree with you, Amic. He needs to touch the football more. I think he needs more touches on the offensive side of the football. Lionfire says, I want to see more from Pryor. He has done very little. Look, I think of all the players thus far in the season, he has to be one of the most disappointing. He has to be one of the most disappointing players thus far. But again, he's a young receiver. I think we forget this sometimes, making the transition because of what he did with Cleveland last year. We just assumed he was going to come in and do the same exact thing with us. It's a different type of offense. They're different expectations. He's got a lot to learn at the position. And he's got to start making some plays, or I think Kirk is going to lose confidence in him. You know, with more confidence, maybe going to Doxson now, and he sees that Vernon Davis is a guy he can get it to. You know Chris Thompson is one of his favorite targets. You know Jordan Reed is one of his favorite targets. You know Crowder is one of his favorite targets. He's now starting to trust more in Ryan Grant. That's going to cut out some more touches and targets for other guys, and Terrell Pryor might be one of those guys that sees his – look, Kirk didn't throw him the ball a ton. We went from Kirk forcing it to him in week 1 to Kirk going to him less in week 2 to, I think, Terrell Pryor only had 3 targets in the game versus the Raiders. If I'm not mistaken, he caught the comeback. He had the sideline catch right before the half. And then I think he threw him a slant. That was it. And that one got broken up. I don't recall him getting another pass. He may have thrown him one more ball. But 4 targets for a guy that had like 9, 10, 11 targets in week 1, another 6 or 7 in week 2. It's dwindled down to 4 with no Jordan Reed in the lineup. That tells me Kirk is starting to have less and less confidence in him. So we'll see. Extreme Archery USA says, I think Mac Brown needs more snaps. From what we have seen from him in a real game has been nothing but impressive. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, that's one of the guys on my list. If I had to narrow down my list to 3 players that needs more snaps, Mac Brown would be in the top 2 of those guys. And I think we may get our wish in week 4 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Mac Brown, by default, may have to see The Rock a lot more. And so we'll see what happens. HTTR Chris 27 says, I want to see more from Martrell Spate. I thought he was outstanding in this game. And I don't think he's ready to start over either one of our inside linebackers, Zach Brown or Mason Foster. But seeing him on the field and seeing the way he played, what it does for me is it makes me so much more comfortable with one of those guys in the interior of our linebacking core going down, knowing that Martrell Spate can step in and we won't miss a beat. I like Spate a lot, and I feel confident that I don't want this to happen. I want him back. But remember, Zach Brown's on a 1-year contract. Let's just assume next year he gets a crazy, ridiculous offer from some other team out there and we don't resign him. I won't feel as bad knowing that we got Martrell Spate that can step in, but trust and believe, we want Zach Brown back at all costs. Get the man signed on the dotted line, bring him back with the way that he's playing. But I agree, Spate is a guy that I don't have a problem with getting more snaps if need be at all. Corey Fitterman says, Mac Brown on offense, he gave us good pass pro on the TD to Josh Doxson. A lot of people don't realize that he smothered a blitzer off the edge on that Doxson touchdown, gave Kirk the necessary time to reset his feet and make that throw to Doxson. That is a great point. And also, he says, Martrell Spate for defense. I'd like to see him get more snaps. So that's 2 for Spate on guys wanting to see more from Martrell Spate. I thought he had an impressive game as well. All right. Let's see. RG3 hashtag says Doxson. I think he's going to get more touches. He's had snaps. I think he's going to get more touches after the big play that he just made. Cole Hunt says, Mac Brown always looks good in junk time. I want to see him playing meaningful snaps. I think everybody would agree with that. I think that's been the overwhelming sentiment by Redskins fans over the last 2 seasons. It's like, when can we get some Mac Brown, especially with our running back position not being overwhelmingly great with the starters? You would think that Mac Brown would have already had an opportunity by now, but I think by default, with the Perine injury, with the Rob Kelly injury, I think we may get our wish finally that Mac Brown sees some meaningful snaps in the game in week 4 versus Kansas City. Des got game 421 says, I want to see more of Junior Galette, and that is mine as well. I want more Junior Galette, Des. I want more Junior Galette as well. That's the guy that I think, and I know they were bringing him slowly along as the season progresses. We're probably going to get more and more of Galette, but I want to see more of Galette because I think he's one of the few guys on this team that can affect the passer with dynamic ability. I think Preston Smith is a long, stronger defender with a little bit of quickness, but he's not an immediate win guy. Neither is Ryan Kerrigan. Galette is the one guy on this team that is an immediate win guy off the snap with explosiveness. I want to see more from Galette, and that's the guy that I think needs more snaps right now. If I had to rank him 1, 2, 3, he'd be number 1, closely followed by Mac Brown. So I agree with you, Des. Absolutely. Boba Sis says, I need to see more Monte Nicholson out there for sure. That boy can flat out ball, and he's got speed for days. And I'm going to keep beating the Mac Brown drum, get him some touches. I think we're going to get it now. I think we're going to get Mac Brown in the game with some meaningful touches, not mop-up duty, not into the game. Hey, here's a couple touches for you, Mac. I think we're actually going to see Mac Brown get some touches when the game is on the line still. And to your point, Monte Nicholson, I think he is taking over as the starting strong safety on this football team. I think he's put in enough work, showed that he's got playmaking ability. I don't know how you take him out of the lineup. I right now look at him as our starting strong safety, and I would be surprised if Everett was in there other than in nickel and dime situations where they put 3 safeties on the field and they want to get another. Because remember, DeShazer Everett still has coverage ability. Remember, he's an ex-corner. You saw the play that he made on Jared Cook Jr. in the end zone, almost had a pick 6 in the end zone. He can still play as a coverage corner, as a safety. So I want to see more of Monte Nicholson. We will see more of Monte Nicholson, no doubt. Dominic Garland says Mac Brown needs a lot more snaps. I think a lot of people feel that way, if you've heard that already. Matthew123 says, we need to get Junior Galette more snaps. I think even if Reed gets healthy, we need to get Davis more involved. He was tremendous speed at the tight end position. I agree with both of those. Someone already said Vernon Davis, and I agree with that. Even when Jordan Reed comes back, there's no reason we can't have 2 tight ends out there creating havoc. I think that would bolster this offense even more so than it already is. I think the fact that you could scare teams vertically with Davis and still hurt them with Reed, I think that would be a mismatch nightmare for teams, especially that have trouble covering tight ends. Why not utilize both of these guys? I agree. And Galette, that's mine. The Galette needs more snaps, I think. No doubt. AP9000 says, I want to see some more snaps from Ryan Grant. He's usually going to get his looks because of other weapons, and he seems to be stepping up recently. And I think with the emergence of Josh Doxson, that may take away from Ryan Grant's snaps. He's going to be on the field in obvious running situations. They love his ability to block. But I think he's becoming more and more of a fixture on his offense because I think Kirk Cousins is trusting Terrell Pryor less and less. And so the throws that Terrell Pryor should be getting, I think Ryan Grant is starting to cut into those because Kirk wants to go to Pryor, but he doesn't trust him to catch the football, run the routes at the right depth. And so the guy that he does trust to run the routes to the right depth, the guy that he does trust to catch the football if it hits him in his hands is Ryan Grant. So I think you're going to see more from Ryan Grant. I think that's why you have seen more from Ryan Grant. Camden Dorian says, CT, I mean, the more he touches it, the better. I think the team is nervous. The more he touches it, the more he's on the field, the more susceptible he is to injury. That's why Jay Gruden doesn't want to extend the amount of times he touches the football. But there is absolutely no denying what you said is straight facts. The more he touches it, the better it's been for this football team. You can't go wrong, it seems like, with Chris Thompson touching the football. Melvin Glowson says Mac Brown needs more touches. We've heard a ton of Mac Browns. Greg Cole says he's listening to the show at work, man. And no doubt, I'm glad you were able to check me out at work. And if you can, participate in the show, man. No doubt. Always glad to make someone's work day or work night, for that matter, go by a lot quicker and smoother. So glad you're able to peep the program while you over there making some bucks, man. That's awesome. So let's go back to 7-on-7, and now we go to number 4. Name the biggest surprise of the season thus far. And it can be anything. It could be the Redskins' record. It could be the performance versus the Raiders. It could be a player. It could be a coach on this staff. Name the biggest surprise of this Redskins football team thus far, or this season thus far. So now I'm looking for your biggest surprise of the season thus far. Player, coach, outlook on the season, record, whomever. Performance. Could be the way the Redskins ran the football versus the Rams in week 2 when we had to have it. I don't care what it is. Whatever is the biggest surprise to you for this Redskins team in this season, I want to hear it from you. And I'm going to allow you guys the floor to answer, and I'll give you mine after I read off some of your comments. What's going on, Ree? All right. Hashtag RG3 says, you must think I forgot you said Monte will not make this team. Same for JHC. Now, I don't know who JHC is, but I never said Monte Nicholson wasn't going to make this team. Never said that. 4th round picks make your roster. They're supposed to. The guy that I said wasn't going to make this team was Davis, the receiver, and he didn't make this team. I was confident Monte Nicholson was going to make this team because you don't cut 4th round picks. That's not how it works in this league. You start thinking about cutting 5th round picks and later. But your first 4 rounds, you don't cut those players. Those guys make your team. Those are key contributors on your football team for the next 4 to 5 years they're supposed to be. Your 5th, your 6th, your 7th round picks, those guys are in danger of getting cut off your roster and making your practice squad or not making your team at all. But 4th round picks, never on the chopping block unless they're either terrible, not the guy you thought you were getting, or they're injured. And you don't get to see what they're about, and so you can't take the risk of holding up a roster spot for them. But there was never I never said that. I never said Monte Nicholson was not going to make this roster. But in any event, let's get to some of the comments now that I have extended to you guys. Number 4, biggest surprise of this season, this young season thus far. Let's get to some of your comments. Lionfire says, CT is pretty much our Darren Sproles. Agreed. He's definitely, I think he's a little bit more dynamic than Sproles because of his ability. And really, it's just how you use Darren Sproles, because Darren Sproles could do everything that Chris Thompson has done for us thus far. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Sproles is a little bit more dangerous as a punt returner, though, whereas Chris Thompson isn't a punt returner, and I don't even love him as a kickoff returner. So, there's that. But in any event, Camden Dorian says, the biggest surprise for him this year, the defensive unit. How can you disagree with that? I mean, who saw this coming? I don't know of. There was one guy, my man, DC Big Oso. He was the only guy that before the season was like, yo, top 15 defensive unit. And I'm like, bruh, you tripping. Like, I can't. You can say that. I'm not going to say that. And I'm still not ready to say that yet. But after watching what we did last week, it's starting to look like something that isn't that far-fetched. You know, the defense is definitely high on that list for sure. Do W2 Elite Atlas says Chris Thompson is looking very good this season so far. Looking in as a Bucks fan, he's got to be one of the biggest surprises for a lot of fans. But if you're a diehard Redskins fan, his play shouldn't surprise you that much. I think his high usage rate and the effectiveness that he's had in these first 3 weeks probably is a surprise a little bit. But we know he was capable of this if he stayed healthy. So it's not the biggest surprise for me. America Last says, I'm most surprised with how Crowder is still punt returner. His muffing punts problem is scary. That's been surprising too, but he's done it before. Like, I think the fact that he's done it in 2 out of our first 3 games is scary, but the fact that I've seen him do this before doesn't surprise me. It just pisses me off because he's making the same mistakes. He's jumping in the air. Why are you jumping in the air? Keep your feet on the ground. There's no reason to jump. And I think it's out of habit, and it's just something he has to train himself not to do. And he's gotten so accustomed to jumping in the air when he catches the football that it's really hindering him. That was a fair catch. What are you jumping for? Like, it's one thing if you're getting excited, you know you got space, and you're jumping because you're ready to get that Scooby-Doo, Shaggy start, you know, where you start running in the air, but your feet aren't on the ground, so you can't go anywhere yet. But you know you're about to take off as soon as you hit the ground. That was a fair catch. What are you jumping for? I don't understand that. So, yeah, that's a problem right now. Dad's got Game 421 says, Kendall Fuller is by far the biggest surprise for me so far this season. He's up there for me as well because I wasn't even impressed with him in the preseason. He was still getting beat on in-breaking routes. So to see how far he's come and his ability to sniff out screens and get in there and blow those things up, he's been outstanding as a tackler. I've probably been more impressed with him as a tackler than anything else. And then to see him get his first career interception in the game versus the Raiders was just the icing on the cake, man. He's been outstanding in this young season so far. And he's another one of those guys like Preston Smith that I want to see continue this play. We've seen him play this well for stretches. Last year in his rookie season, his first couple of games, he was outstanding. And then remember, he tailed off as the season progressed. I want to see him maintain this level of play for all 16 games. If we can get that out of him in the slot, with the guys playing the way that they're playing on the outsides and Norman and Vitamin B, come on, man. J-No, Vitamin B, and now you got Fuller in this slot. I don't see many teams exploiting this defense in the secondary with those guys playing that way. Corey Fitterman says, my biggest surprise is how well Manusky got our boys balling and the way the whole team is responding to DJ's leadership. That's such a great point. Manusky, I was wrong about Manusky, man. Greg Manusky has been a revelation. And I've seen this man as a coordinator before, but I just love his approach. Like every week, he's like, yo, no disrespect, but I've already told you this. When a person says to you, no disrespect, know that the next thing that follows that comment is disrespect, right? And so he said for the last 2 weeks, no disrespect, but. And last week against the Rams, it was no disrespect, but Sean McVay is no longer here. F Sean McVay, and he didn't say that, but in so many words, he said, F Sean McVay, F the Rams. We know he's a good coach, but we good coaches over here, and we're going to take it to his ass. In so many words, that's what he said. I love it. I love Sean McVay. I just didn't love him in week 2. That was it. Every other week, I'm rooting for Sean McVay. And I felt the same way Manusky felt. Every question was some form of how great of a coach is Sean McVay. We love Sean McVay, and he's an excellent coach. But Sean McVay is no longer in D.C. F Sean McVay for week 2. Let's go get this dub, and let's go kick their ass. And that's pretty much what Greg Manusky said. The next week was, how good is this Raiders offense? How good is Derek Carr? How good is Amari Cooper and Crabtree? Are they the best wide receiving tandem in the league? He's like, hey, no disrespect to the Raiders offense and how good they are, but we don't give a F about what they doing over there. It's about us and this defense, and we're going to go out there and we're going to bust their ass. And what did we do? We went out there and we bust their ass. So I love Greg Manusky's approach. Like, look, man, I hear you asking these questions and I get it, but it ain't about them. It's about us and what we doing over here. And it's a mindset. You know, Damn with all the compliments and hyping up the other team and fluffing that. Hell with all of that. We out here on a mission to go get a job done. And we going to go out and get it done. And I love Greg Minuski. It's a mindset. It's an attitude. You see this defense playing the way they playing. And physical as they're playing. Flowing to the football. One guy misses. The next guy's there to clean his ass up. That's a mindset. Rallying to the football. Multiple hats. Running to the football. That's all Greg Minuski. All Greg Minuski. Playing the sticks on 3rd and long. All Greg Minuski. Pattern matching in the secondary. All Greg Minuski and Torian Gray. His coaching staff is better. The defensive line, all Greg Minuski and Jim Tomsula. It's a different approach to the game. It's a more physical approach to the game. I love it. I agree with you. And DJ Swearinger's leadership cannot be overstated. He has been the single most biggest component to the defensive success that we've seen for this football team outside of the coaching staff. If you're talking players on the field, DJ Swearinger is where it starts and ends when you start talking about the biggest change from last year, the year before that, and the leadership on the field and guys lining up in the right spots and knowing what's coming. It's all DJ Swearinger. Let's see. Extreme Archery USA says, Josh Harvey Clemens making the team. I saw him as a nobody, and now he could come in linebacker coverage situations. And he hasn't actually seen the field, and he hasn't even really been active most weeks. I think he was actually active this past week, if I'm not mistaken, because of the injury to Mason Foster. They brought him up as an extra linebacker, but right now he's a guy that's going to be on this team for special team purposes. And in situations like where you're down a linebacker, you bring up Josh Harvey Clemens to fill in that void. So that was a surprise. Absolutely. I definitely didn't think he was going to make the roster. I don't think if I talked to every Redskin fan, that I could before the rosters were announced, and I had my 53-man roster program, and nobody said Josh Harvey Clemens. I'm lying. I had 2 people say Josh Harvey Clemens was going to make this roster, and I wasn't buying it. 2 people out of like 80. And they were right. So that was a surprise. DC Big Oso says the whole defensive coaching staff is his biggest surprise of the season thus far. Can't disagree with you. I've already said Torian Gray, our new defensive backs coach, Jim Tomsula, our defensive line coach, and Greg Minuski, our new defensive coordinator, all have changed the culture defensively for this football team, without a doubt. Cole Hunt says, Jim Tomsula has our D-line playing some great football. He's my surprise. I love him. I remember seeing him at the combine, and he was running the defensive line drills, and he was just so jacked and pumped, man. Love Jim Tomsula, man. He's definitely been a pleasant surprise for us this year. Amic89 says, the nasty bully that they are being on defense is his biggest surprise. That is got to be, without a doubt, the biggest surprise right now. I got 2. And one is a player and the other is just like an overall view. The first one is Monte Nicholson. I couldn't, first of all, I didn't envision him being an impact player as a rookie. I didn't envision him being an impact player, period. I didn't think he was going to be the type of player that could impact this roster the way he has. Never could have seen this coming. And I was wrong about his level of physicality. This guy's a hitter. Okay, I knew about the athleticism and the speed. That was on display at the combine. That was on display on tape. It was just, I didn't think it translated to him using that to make plays, and I was wrong. It translates to him making plays on the football, like you saw with the pick. This guy was all the way at the hash, and he ran all the way out to the numbers to make that pick. Confused the hell out of Derek Carr. He thought it was single coverage, one-on-one, and Nicholson came over and made the pick. That's range, folks. And I didn't see that coming from him, to be able to put all of this stuff together, to read the quarterback's eyes and allow that to take him to the football, use his athleticism to go make a play and high point the football. That's tremendous. That's playmaker type stuff. That's game-changing type of ability. He's got that, and I didn't know he was going to be able to use that to help us this early in his young career. And then his ability to hit. I told you I thought he was soft. I called him somewhat soft. I said he's not a physical football player. I couldn't have been more wrong. This guy's been everything but soft. Okay? This guy's been the epitome of physicality out there, hitting guys. It's what he does. And he does it in a legal manner. I mean, how can you not love him? He's been a surprise. And my other surprise is this defense overall. This defense overall, I can't state enough just how surprised I am at how quickly we've turned this defense over and how they've changed the narrative defensively. We went from, can we get off the field on third downs in week 1 versus the Eagles, to, hey man, a little sketchy against the run versus the Rams, to, damn, 0 of 11 on third downs for the Raiders. Marshawn Lynch, 6 carries, 18 yards. And, oh, by the way, they wouldn't have scored a single point had it not been for the 2 turnovers. And if Vernon Davis didn't have a holding penalty at the end of the game when Matt Brown had the toss for a first down on that first play after the 2-minute warning, they wouldn't have had over 100 yards of total offense in this game. Think about that for a second. That's dominance at its highest level against one of the league's best offenses. Our defense did that. What? Yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest surprises. So I'm with you, Amick. The nasty bully that they're being on defense right now, one of my biggest surprises too. Boba Sis says, pleasantly surprised with our young guns in the secondary thus far. Everybody's stepping up in the secondary. Vitamin B stepping up. Everett has shown flashes. We know about Monte Nicholson and what he's done thus far. Fuller has been a revelation this year. Yeah, the youngins stepping up all over the field, not just in the secondary, but absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Boba. Melvin Glowson says, my biggest surprise is our defense this past Sunday. Man, Lou, that was refreshing, and I can get used to that. We all can. The question is was that the norm, or was that an outlier? Was that an aberration? Will we not see that consistently throughout this season? I don't know. We're going to find out. That was outstanding, though. AP9000 says, biggest surprise to me has been Gruden's play calling. Been keeping the run pass plays balanced. Like you've said, it's easy to call runs when they work, but I'm surprised he's been balanced. And I'll take it a step further, and I agree with you. I'll take it a step further. We weren't having success. Samaje Perine was marginal to below average in this past week's game. 19 carries, 49 yards. I told you in the Sunday night overtime that I wasn't impressed with him. And I'm here to tell you that the run game was not prolific. It was not effective for much of this game. And yet Jay Gruden stuck with it. And that's where you have to give him credit. But again, you're allowed to stick with the run when you're up 14-0. When you're up 21-0. When you're up 24-7. When you're up 24-10. You're allowed to stick with the run, even when it's not working as effectively as you would like it to. So we're going to see if he's going to remain balanced when we get down early in the game 14-3. Does the run still factor into the game plan, or does he just cut Kirk loose and have Kirk throw it 45 times? That's going to be the real test when we get down, because we've been up in these games. These past 2 games, we've been up early. So it's easy to stick with the run when you're up. What happens when you're down? So we're going to see. Dominic Garland says, Minuski was the biggest surprise for me, and how he's coaching the D is great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Amick89 says, Fuller had a forced fumble in the Raiders game too. He did. That's right. A tackle out in the flats. Ball comes free, and the Redskins, Martrell Spate, able to recover. Yes. Fuller has been outstanding. Tackling, creating turnovers. He's been an animal early on in this season. Greg Cole says, most surprising thing this year is DJ Swearinger's leadership on the defense in his first year. It's so great to have that leadership and a solid safety. I think all Redskins fans echo that sentiment. We've been waiting for someone to take control of the safety position defensively for such a long time, and to finally have someone come in. And again, that was another guy I was wrong about, because I said he's nothing more than one what's the player's name? The ex-Redskins safety, Brandon Merriweather 2.0. That's what I said about DJ Swearinger, and I couldn't have been more wrong. I was wrong on a ton of things with this team in the offseason. And like I said, if being wrong feels this good, I don't want to be right. And because DJ Swearinger has been the absolute best thing that has happened to this Redskins defense. And to think we didn't spend a ton of money to go out and get him. Like, this guy has been the difference in this defense right now in this young season. And we didn't overspend. You know, this is a great acquisition, man. I agree, Greg. All right. Let's get to a couple more comments, and then we'll go to the next one. Last two. Mr. DCB215 says, the biggest surprise, our commitment to the run. That's up there, high on the list. Because Jay Gruden came to Washington as a guy that was a pass-first, imbalanced pass-to-run ratio guy. You know, 55-45 type of guy. Pass to run. And right now it's been, if you look at the last two games, it's been more run than pass the last two games. So we'll see if that trend continues, but I was more impressed with the ability of Jay Gruden to stay resilient with the run in week 3 than week 2, because it was working in week 2. It's easy to call the next run play when it's working. When it's not working, like it wasn't working in week 3, he still continued to call run plays. And that was impressive to me. And then finally, I'll take these next two. Andre P. Musgrove says, the most surprising thing has to be the defensive domination. I was born in 1995, and I've never seen this defense play like that. It amazed me, and I didn't know whether to cheer or sit stunned. I think my emotions in the first half was the latter. I sat there stunned at what we were doing. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Are the Raiders still in the locker room? Did they realize that this game started at 8:30? Because I'm like, normally they don't play at 5:30 in the evening in L.A. So maybe they forgot that this game started at 8:30. I didn't know what the situation was, but I'm like, this can't continue for 2 halves of football. Like, they're going to come out in the second half and start airing it out, and the whole game's going to change, and how do we react? And it was more of the same in the second half, and that's when I realized this is really happening. And me sitting stunned turned into, damn right, get their ass. And so I was more excitable in the second half. But yes, that was definitely a big surprise. And Alvin Nelson says, biggest surprise so far has been the defense. So he agrees as well. So let's get back to the 7-on-7, and we'll get to the next comment here or a question. I got a 2-parter for you, one on each side of the ball. Who are the most valuable parts or players on the offensive and defensive sides of the football, respectively? So I'll repeat this again. Who are the most valuable players on the offensive and defensive sides of the football? One for each. I don't want multiples this time. You can't pick this player and this player. I want one player. What's the one guy on each side of the ball that you think this team cannot do without? Which one of these players on each side of the football are the most indispensable? One on each side of the field. I'll give you mine after you give me yours. So let's go back to the comments and see what you guys, and I'll give you guys a couple of moments to type in your responses, and I'll get to some other comments while you're doing that. Rodney Ray says, I think one of our best offseason moves was firing Joe Barry and the addition by subtraction. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Joe Barry had to go. And the fact that they were able to promote from within, you know, taking Greg Minuski, the linebackers coach, and making him our new defensive coordinator, definitely. I mean, look at the secondary. Perry Fuel wasn't working in the secondary. They were running roughshod over him. They were telling him what they were and weren't going to do last year. And now you bring in Torian Gray, and it changes the whole mindset of that defensive backs room, and it's a different defense, man. And so, yeah, addition by subtraction for sure. Amic89 says, some people develop faster than others, so the rookie safety is a fast learner, and he has the right players around him, hashtag DJ. Yeah, that helps a lot. And he said he's also being mentored by D'Angelo Hall. So there's a lot of guys in his ear helping him out, and it's just speeding up the learning curve for him and fast tracking him to being able to make the type of plays we've seen him make in these last 2 weeks. DC Big Oso says, Nicholson reminds me of a younger Thomas from Seattle. His range reminds me a lot of Earl Thomas. His ability to get to points on the field where you think, no way he can get there from here. This can't be the starting point and this be the final destination and he make it here. Like, he's not supposed to be able to get from here to here before the quarterback is able to get the ball to that receiver, yet he seems to be doing that on a consistent basis. All right. Let's see. Rodney Ray says, don't feel bad about being wrong about Nicholson. An AFC national scout said on his draft profile, big and beautiful with no impact on the game. I felt the same way. I felt like he was one of those guys, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane type of guys. So I was wrong, though, and I'm glad to be wrong. But I was flat out wrong. Watching the tape, I wasn't impressed, but sometimes you can't know what a player's, and I said this in my breakdown of him, you can't know what a player is being asked to do defensively. You don't know. You can only assume by watching the tape. Sometimes assuming can be a dangerous exercise in futility because you don't know what that guy's being asked to do. He may be doing exactly what the defensive coaches are asking him to do, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't maximizing his skill set. And that's what the Redskins are doing, and I must say, it's a joy to watch. All right, so we get to number 3. Who are your most valuable players on offense and defense? And so let's get to some of those answers. Amic89 says Trent on offense, Silverback, Trent Williams, and DJ Swearinger on defense. Rooftop Gaming says Josh Norman on defense, Jordan Reed on offense. Boba Sis says CT25 on offense and defense, Swearinger. DC Big Oso says, Warren Sapp says Jay Gruden is the type of coach you run through a wall for. I love Jay Gruden. He's a player's coach. All the players love him. I've been trying to tell you guys this from day one. I know you don't love the wet willies that Deshaun Jackson was giving him and those types of things. Or the nipple twisting, I should say, not wet willies, but the nipple twisting and all that stuff. But he's a player's coach. And guys love that. He knows how to get on their ass when he needs to. But he's also a player's coach, and you got to respect that. But back to the question. Corey Fitterman says, on offense, I got Chris Thompson. On defense, I'm going to say Zach Brown. Okay. Cole Hunt says, Trent Williams, it is even more valuable now that Ty Nsekhe is out. And Josh Norman is vital in our pass defense. Camden Dorian says offense is Kirk and defense is Josh Norman. Extreme Archery USA says offense Chris Thompson, defense DJ Swearinger. He is striking fear in receivers' hearts and making them drop it so they won't get lit up. AP 9000 says MVP on offense is offensive line Trent Williams. CT is too easy. Defensive side would be P. Boogie. Even though I want to pick Nicholson, damn, why only one on each side? LOL. Because you got to make a choice. I can't let you get away with naming multiples. Des Got Game 421 says Norman on D because they don't even throw to his side hardly. And Trent Williams on offense, need I say more? DC Big Oso says we can't do without on offense Trent Williams and on defense Zach Brown. LD says CT on offense, Josh Norman on defense. And Greg Coles says Kirk Cousins on offense, Kerrigan on defense. Rodney Ray says Trent Williams and DJ, especially at this point, Ray Lewis inspiring other players to play harder for DJ. So my two are And I took Kirk Cousins out of the discussion. And I was going to ask you guys to do that. But I took Kirk Cousins out of the discussion because I think that goes without saying. If Colt McCoy is our quarterback, we're not having this discussion about this team being 2-1 right now because we're not. Kirk Cousins changes things. So I just took him out of the equation. The guy on offense that I don't think we would be able to survive without right now as it stands is Chris Thompson. Now, to me, Trent Williams would, if you put a gun to my head and said, I need one offensive player that you right now are you will have him for 16 games, I would say Trent Williams. If you're taking Kirk Cousins out of the discussion, which I assume Kirk is going to play 16, there's never been a season where he hasn't when he's been the starter. So I'm going to assume that Kirk is going to. If you said, what's the one dude you can't do without, and I told you that everybody else on the offense could be potentially exposed to injury, but this is the one guy that I'll keep healthy all year long. I say, give me Trent Williams. I need him healthy for 16. I like Ty Nsekhe, but Ty Nsekhe is not Trent Williams. So I know the backside is straight. I don't ever, like Bruce Irvin, I say, oh, Trent's going to put his ass to sleep. And he's going to do that to most guys every week. So while Chris Thompson for me right now is the guy, Trent Williams would be the guy if you put a gun to my head and you made me make a decision. But for right now, for the way this team is playing, if there's no Chris Thompson, there's no offense for the Skins right now. I've reiterated this on the last 2 weeks on Sunday Night Football overtime. I told you that Chris Thompson, we've got 7 offensive touchdowns this year. Chris Thompson scored 4 of them. Think about that. Over 50% of our offensive touchdowns scored on the season have been scored by Chris Thompson. And if you want to take it a step further, we've scored 8 total touchdowns this season. Defense scored on a pick 6, Ryan Kerrigan, week 1 versus the Eagles. 8 touchdowns. Chris Thompson has accounted for 4 of them. 50% of our touchdowns this season have been scored by one man. Think about that for a second. And he's not your every down. It's not like he's an every down back. It's not like we've gotten 6 touchdowns out of our running back like he's Ezekiel Elliott and he scored from 1 yard out, 3 yards out, 4 yards out, and 2 yards out. And that's the 4 touchdowns. And they've all been rushing touchdowns close inside the 5. No, this guy's scoring in a multitude of ways. 61-yard run. Okay, a 35-yard catch and run versus the Eagles. A toss from 12 yards out versus the Rams. Another catch for a touchdown versus the Raiders. Like, he's scoring in a multitude of ways. Like, this guy right now is irreplaceable in this offense. And defensively for me, it's DJ Swearinger. How can it not be Swearinger on the defensive side of football? I mean, he's lining guys up. He's lining guys up. Every week, he's lining guys. I'm watching him. Before the snap, telling Monte Nicholson, get over here. Get in front of you. Telling DeShazer Everett, you're supposed to be man-to-man with this guy. Line up in front of him. Telling Ryan Kerrigan, hey, running a reverse to your side. Stay outside. Stay at home. Blow this play up. Hey, defensive lineman, slide over, slide over. I'm watching him line guys up. Making sure everybody's got the play call. And then at the end of the day, coming down and handling business like he did against Beast Mode. Smashing. It's DJ Swearinger for me defensively. All right, let's go to our next one. Number 2. Does this game versus the Raiders and the fact that the Redskins are 2-1 and in the fashion that they did it in change your outlook on the season? So I'll repeat. Number 2. Does the Redskins' 2-1 record and the way they performed versus the Raiders on Sunday in the dominant performance that they had change your outlook on this season? I'll give you my answer after you give me yours. And I'll give you time to comment. And I'll read some other comments while you guys give me your comments. C. Brunson says, you're my guy, but it sounds like you're okay with going into the bye week at 2-2. When did I ever say that? And yes, I am okay with going into the bye week 2-2. I am. But I'm not looking forward to doing that. We got a game that we can win in week 3. Do I expect to win it? I don't know. You'll find out here in a second. However, you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, would I have taken 2-2 after we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1? Who wouldn't have signed up for 2-2? Knowing that we had 2 primetime games against arguably the best division in all of football, the Raiders and the Chiefs, back-to-back weeks on primetime. Who wouldn't have took 2-2? Now that we're 2-1 and we dominated the Raiders, am I satisfied with 2-2? Hell no, I want 3-1. What do you mean? I'm a competitive person. I want to win every goddamn game. So no, I'm not satisfied with 2-2. I'd be content with 2-2, but am I looking forward to going 2-2? Hell no. We playing with house money now. I want to go 3-1. In any event, LD says Norman is shutting down a third of the field. He's punching out footballs. He brought a change of attitude last year when we sucked, and he's delivering the best post-game smack talk. If you haven't heard it, that's classic, what he said about the Raiders receivers after the game. Apparently, Amari Cooper was talking about how he was going to put up some numbers coming into FedEx, and he got shut down along with Krabs, and Josh Norman let them know about that. So I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that. But Norman came here last year, and his presence was welcome, but we still sucked. And guys weren't lining up in proper positions. Norman can only do but so much at the cornerback position. You can only do but so much. It's hard for a corner to impact the game as much as a safety, because the safety or an inside linebacker, either one, can be your general on the defensive side of the football. Your safety, your guys up the middle are your leaders of the football team, normally, or at least your leaders on the field. Quarterback, center are your leaders on the offensive side of the football, at least they're supposed to be, because they're the guys telling everybody what to do. They're supposed to know what's going on at all times. They're up the middle of the field. They're supposed to be setting the protections, making sure everybody's lined up. That's the brains of the operation. On offense and on defense, the inside linebacker or your safety are the two guys that can have that role on the defensive side of football. Hard for, and not saying that Norman's impact on this defense isn't profound, because it is. You stated, all the reasons you stated are facts. This guy's forcing fumbles at an alarming rate. They didn't even throw to him hardly last night. He had one throw go his way. And it was a completion to Krabs, I believe, for like 6 yards. That was it. They didn't throw to him at all. So let's get to your comments, though. Corey Fitterman says, hell yes, it does. Nice, succinct, and to the point. Hell yes, it does. I hear you, man. He loud and clear. Cole Hunt says, definitely a lot more confident after that Raiders game and have high hopes. Camden Dorian says, no, it is one game. Can't put too much into one game. Have to show it consistently. Boba Sis says, my outlook on our season hasn't changed one bit. I went in thinking that we were a 10-win team, and I'm not wavering from that belief. AP 9000 says, no. It gives me great hope knowing that we're capable of this, but still doesn't mean that we're going to perform every week like this. I'd love to be more positive, but we need to see more. DC Big Oso says, this upcoming game Monday night will definitely change my outlook on the season, and hopefully national media notices us too. All right. LD says, I saw this as a 7-9 team, and now I think we're good. Completely changed my outlook after disastrous offseason. Melvin Glossen says, it does change my mind about the season, but I'm used to the Skins breaking my heart every year. It's funny when you said every year. My barber, King Coop, the guy that does the songs for my channel, you know him, you've seen him on my channel before. He talks about his Rams and how they disappoint him every year. He goes, every year! And that made me think about that, man. And so that's funny. Amic89 says, I don't know, LOL, to be honest, but I will see when we face the Chiefs. They're the best right now. AP9000 says, I came into the season thinking we'd win around 7 and miss the playoffs. That's why I think it hasn't changed. But we need to see more, and this Monday will show us and the league a lot. Rodney Ray says, yes, because it's one thing for your team to have players with potential, but now seeing the potential being unlocked, the next step is consistency. Absolutely. And if you're out there and you want your comment read, because I see some of you posting, but I'm not reading your comments and you may wonder why, you have to use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the program. Come on, Gary, I want to read your comments. And I thank you for donating to the channel, Gary. I really appreciate that, man. Really means a lot. So come on, Gary, use the hashtag so I can read your comments, man. So here's my take on number 2. This changed my outlook on the season. Yes, and here's why. Now, I agree with the sentiments of a few of you. AP said no. Boba said no. Basically, he thought we were a 10-win team, and I was somewhere in that general vicinity. I said we were going to win around 9 this year. Camden says no, it's one game. I totally agree with that. There are a lot of you out there that said no, and there are some of you that said yes, hell yeah. You know, Corey Fitterman said hell yeah, it did, and I can see why. But here's why I say yes, but I'm going to give you a different aspect of why I say yes. Does this change my overall feel yet? No, it doesn't. But the big picture outlook, when's the last time? And I'm not saying this yet, but when's the last time the Redskins have been looked at? Not by us, because we're homers, we're fans. A lot of us are homers. We say stupid stuff. We expect more of our team than we probably should. That's what fans do. Fan is short for fanatics. That's what we are. We're fanatics. When's the last time you as a fan, though, and the outside national media actually looked at this Redskins team as a potential Super Bowl contender? When's the last time Redskins and Super Bowl contender actually went in the same sentence? For most of you, you weren't even born the last time those two phrases, Redskins, Super Bowl contender, same sentence. I was 5 the last time those two phrases went together. Never. Maybe 99. And I don't even think a lot of people thought the 99 Skins were good enough. I thought offensively we were. I had my reservations about the defense that year. We actually played good defense in the playoffs, but again, we played Tampa Bay. They were a horrible offense, but a great defense. And that's how we lost. We should have won that game, but I'm not here to go down memory lane. This game made me think, and it was a fleeting thought, but it made me think to myself, if we can play the type of offense that I know we're capable of, and play this caliber of defense, and I'm not saying that I expect this kind of defensive performance moving forward, but it was just a what if in my mind briefly. It was fleeting, like I said. If we can get this kind of defensive performance, and it doesn't have to be this dominant, but something similar to this consistently, with the offense that I know we're capable of. Kirk went 25 of 30 for 360-something and 3 touchdowns. That's insane, and we know he's capable of that. And we get a semblance of a run game. And we can remove the mistakes, the turnovers, the penalties, minimize those. Why can't we be a Super Bowl contending? Why? You look at this NFC. Tell me one team in the NFC conference right now that's got you shaking in your boots to the point where you think we can't beat them. If we played like we played on Sunday. In past years, you look at the elite teams in this conference and you say, we can't beat them. If we got to go to Seattle, we can't beat them. Why we can't beat? We got Seattle on the schedule this year. In Seattle. Why the hell we can't go to Seattle and win? You seen Seattle? I saw Seattle. I've seen Seattle this year. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them in D.C. or Seattle. The Falcons in Atlanta, that's a little troublesome. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not afraid to play the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau at home. I'm not. I used to be scared of the Packers, scared to death of Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. I'm not. I'm not afraid of anybody in the NFC if we can play that brand of football. So does this change my outlook on the season with a macro approach or a micro approach? Nah, it's one game. I got to see more. Just like some of you have said, I got to see more. I've seen this Redskins team tease me before. So I'm not going to let one game change my whole outlook. But for a brief second, I said to myself, if we do this again on Monday, which takes me to number one, my number one question, and we're going to go to number one now because this next comment that I was going to make ties into that, and that I don't want to give away yet. So I'm going to ask you this. The number one question or comment that I'm looking from you for our 7-on-7 today. Would 3-1 change your outlook on this season? Would a win versus the Kansas City Chiefs? Would a win on the road on Monday night at Arrowhead? I don't give a damn how it comes. A defensive struggle, 12-10. A dominant performance, 27-10, like we just beat the Raiders. Does that matter to you? You can add that into your comment if you like. A shootout, 30-27 in overtime. Does it matter to you? But the bottom line is, does 3-1, does a win versus the Chiefs on Monday night in Arrowhead change your outlook on this Redskins 2017 season? That's the number one question that I have for you. And so I'll wait on that. And while we're waiting, I'll take some other comments. And I'll let you guys take your time. Get those comments in there. Take your time. All right. C. Brunson says, been a fan for the longest. 2-1 means nothing. We somehow find ways to lose winnable games. Last year, the field goal in the Lions game, I hope we can go 10-6, 9-7 at worst. What are your thoughts? Yeah, as a Redskin fan, you know we found ways to blow games. That's what we've done. That's why we are the way we are as Redskins fans. We're preconditioned to expect the worst even when things are going well. When's the bottom going to fall out? When are we going to start losing games and making mistakes? Because we're not used to this type of success. Usually there's a but somewhere coming. Oh, we won 3 in a row, but you're about to lose 4 out of your next 5, like we did last year. Remember, we were 6-3-1 last year. We were 6-3-1. Hell, I think we were 6-3, and then we tied the Bengals. Or were we 5-3-1? And then we beat the brakes off the Packers, I think it was, and went to 6-3-1. Who at that point didn't think that this was a playoff team last year? At 6-3-1, coming off the Sunday night beatdown of the Packers. Who knew that we were going to go to Arizona and throw away a game? Who knew that we were going to go on Thanksgiving, give the Cowboys everything they could ask for, and not be able to get a defensive stop and lose a shootout? Who knew we were going to blow games to Carolina at home, a hapless Carolina Panthers team, and a Giants team that had nothing to play for in Week 17? Who knew we were going to throw up all over ourselves to finish off the season? Lose 5 out of our final 6 games. Who knew we were going to do that? Or 5 out of our final 7 games. Or 4 out of our final 7 games. Who knew we were going to do that? None of us did. We went 8-7-1, and we were 6-3-1 at one point. All we had to do was win one more game, and we couldn't even do that. So as a Redskin fan, 2-1 means a lot this year because of the way the schedule was set up and the way the season started. 2-1 means a lot. But, like you said, in the grand scheme of things, 2-1 means nothing. It's early in the season. 5 weeks from now, we could be 2-5. 5 weeks from now, we could be 2-5. Haven't won another game since the 2-1 start. What the hell does 2-1 mean at that point? Not a goddamn thing. So I agree with you. There's more work to be done. But the difference this season and past seasons is that the defense actually looks legit. We're going to find out how good the defense is because the Chiefs pose some threats offensively that we haven't faced this season. But in any event, let's get to your comments. You have had time to leave your comments, and I want to read them now. So let me revisit the question. Does a 3-1 start, if we beat the Chiefs, does that change your outlook on this season? And you can, like I said, add into your comment the way the game plays out may impact your decision. Doesn't matter to me. I want to know. Does 3-1 change your decision? Let's get to some of your comments. Amic89 says, hell yeah. We going to the Super Bowl. I won't go that far. But I tell you what, there will be mass hysteria if we beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night. There are going to be a lot more people that sound just like you, and that scares me as a Redskins fan, a longtime Redskins fan. That scares me. Let's see. X Final Gaming says, yes, of course, LOL. I'd see them as a divisional playoff team at that point. AP9000 says, yes, it would. Mainly because we'd beat two very good teams with different specialties like the Raiders and the Chiefs. I don't care how we win, but if we beat the Chiefs, in all caps, he says, my outlook will be changed. All right? Okay. Candon Dorian says, no, because you can still fall apart via injuries or a streak of bad luck or just bad play. It would still be too early. Understood. Corey Fitterman says, if we win Monday night, no matter how it happens, it will definitely change because when's the last time we beat back-to-back playoff teams? I don't know. That's a good-ass question that I don't have the answer to. When's the last time we beat back-to-back perceived good football teams? I can't even answer that question. So, let alone playoff teams. Des got Game 421 says, if we win against Kansas City, is it too early to talk playoffs? Yeah, it's still too early. 4 games in, too early to start using the P word. LD says, 3-1, yep, gotta view them as serious contenders. Even a strong showing and the bandwagon is rolling. Boba says 3-1 puts us in great position to not only win the East, but to be among the best in the NFC. We winning on Monday night, mark my words, HTTR, hashtag I believe. Extreme Archery USA says, in all caps, hell yes, that gives us a bye to let that soak in, and then we play the 49ers to win and then ball out. We then have a momentum going into the Eagles, then the media kissing us. It's perfect. We shall see. That's a huge task in front of us. DC Big Oso says, if we beat the Chiefs Monday night and beat them convincingly, the sky is the limit. AP9000 says, I know it's a cop-out, bruh, but even if we have a strong showing and lose it in the 4th late, I'll still have a changed outlook, but I stick to my original comment. Understood. AP9000 also says, we were in so many close games, one play away from the playoffs last year, still pisses me off. Melvin Glowson says, if we beat Kansas City and go to 3-1, yes, it changes everything, but we need consistent play on both sides of the ball. And DC Big also says, if we stop the 3 H's, Hill, Hunt, and Houston, we will win. HTTR, he says. And with that, I'll give you my comment for this one. Will 3-1 change my outlook? Absolutely it will. You go on the road against arguably the best the NFL has to offer right now in the Kansas City Chiefs. I still think the Patriots are the best in the AFC, but they beat the Patriots. So what does that make them? So You're going on the road in arguably the most hostile environment in all football. I put them right up there with Seattle, and right now I think, Arrowhead on a Monday night, on a Sunday night in a primetime spot is almost unbearable. Okay, that crowd is going to be loud. There will not be a ton of Redskin fans infiltrating that stadium. You will see a sea of red like no other. They're going to be amped and juiced for this game. Morgan Moses, Momo, might have a couple of false starts because I feel like he false starts at least 2 or 3 times every game and it doesn't get called. Well, he's going to false start because he's going to have a problem hearing the snap count. They're probably going to have to go with a silent count because it's going to be loud in Kansas City. So you're telling me you're going on the road in what seems like an almost impossible environment to win in this type of game on a primetime setting. If this were just a 1 o'clock game or a 4:25 start in Kansas City, I'd feel a lot more comfortable going there. This is a nighttime game. They're going to get juiced up. They're going to be drunk. They're going to be loud. They're going to be raucous. So you're telling me we're going into that environment against a 3-0 football team that has been outstanding to start the season off. They play defense. They play offense. They've got special players on the offensive side of the football. And you're telling me we're going to go in there and we're going to find a way to win? Yeah, that changed my mind. Now, how much? No, I'm not going to be talking Super Bowl. I won't even use the P word after that game. What I will say, because right now I still don't think we're winning the NFC East. I said that before the season. I haven't changed my mind. What has changed since the Raiders game and the dominant performance is the ceiling on this team. I had a ceiling, a glass ceiling on this team this year. We can only be but so good because the defense is only going to be so good. The offense is only going to be so good. We can only be but so good. That ceiling was somewhat cracked. We beat the Chiefs. That ceiling is shattered. There's no more ceiling. Sky's the limit, as my man DC Big Oso said. Sky's the limit at that point. If we go in and we find a way to win, and I don't care if it's 12-10 for field goals, that means the defense was dominant again. I don't care if it's 27-10. We dominate the game on all facets. I don't care if it's 30-27. We go on the shootout and the defense isn't as impressive, but the offense steps up. I don't care. If we go over there and win, it shatters that glass ceiling that I had for this team going into the season. And now I'm thinking to myself, we can win this division. I'm not willing to start going and start talking P word and start talking Super Bowl. My first goal and initiative is always win the division first. Because I want the home playoff game. That gives you the best opportunity to succeed in the playoffs. So first things first, let's win this division. And if you beat Kansas City 3-1, look at this start to the season. After starting 0-1, you win 3 straight, including wins against the Raiders and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks on primetime television. It's got to do something to you mentally. For me, it changes what this team can be, but it doesn't change my outlook yet. Instead of me thinking, okay, 7 to 9 win team, probably not going to win the division, may not make the playoffs. All of a sudden now I'm saying to myself, we can win this division. If we can play with the likes of the Chiefs and beat them in their place, in their backyard, we can dominate the Raiders. We can beat anybody in this league. And that would change the way that I would look at this season, but it wouldn't change the way that I feel right now because like you guys have said and put it so eloquently, I need consistency. I need consistency. I need to know that this is what we're going to do week in and week out. And so for no other reason than that, I think the Chiefs game is big because now we got a little bit of success. We know this team has not handled success well throughout the time since Joe Gibbs 2.0. We haven't handled success well at all. Since Joe Gibbs left in 2007, we haven't handled success well. We win a division, we fall flat on our face the next year. We get a tougher schedule, we struggle. So now everyone's telling us how good we could possibly be after what we did to the Raiders. Sounds good, that's fine and dandy. I don't give a damn. I don't want to hear it. Show me. Got a chance to do so on Monday night versus the Chiefs. And with that, that was a great segment, guys. I really appreciate all of your participation, comments. That was awesome. That was great. Let's get to the bow and go because for as good as that Raiders game was, it's time to move on. And so let's put a bow on that and let's go to Monday night. Kansas City Chiefs, week 4, big time football. Let's do it.
Redskins bow and go.
So we're putting a bow on the week 3, just absolute dominant performance over the Oakland Raiders, 27-10. It's a game that I think has the Redskins fan base buzzing right now. A lot of people are more confident than ever in this Redskins football team and the ability of this team to do big things this season. No one expected the defense at any point this season to play that well in any one particular game, let alone against that type of opponent, that caliber of offense. No one saw the defense playing that well in any game this season, especially against the likes of a team like the Raiders on the offensive side of football. So that in itself was remarkable. And what that has done is it changes the way you view this football team from a defensive standpoint. Because now, and you saw this coming in terms of the defense was getting better and better each and every single week. From week 1, where they gave up 17 points, really, in that game, 22 points, I guess you could say, because of the Kirk fumble that went for a touchdown and the 2-point conversion. But, they still were bad on third downs in that game. Wentz escaped a couple of times, made some plays, but we still gave up a ton of third and longs in that game. But then they went and they cut back on some of those third and longs, still gave up a high percentage, 41% on third downs in week 2 to the Rams, but it was a better defensive performance. And when we needed them to step up, they made the play at the end to get the interception to seal the deal, something we didn't do as much as we would have liked to last year. The Lions game comes to mind. Cincinnati game comes to mind, games that you had and all you needed was a defensive stop and we weren't able to get it done. Now you look at this team in week 3 and they just dominated every facet of the game. And you say to yourself, if we're capable of that, what does that mean for this team moving forward? And now that we've won on primetime again, can we duplicate the success in week 4, which takes us to our goal? We're done with the Raiders. We beat them. They're done. They're in the rearview mirror. That was fun. It was nice. Forget about it. Forget about it. It's on to the Kansas City Chiefs in week 4 on Monday Night Football. Everybody's watching. And all I asked on Sunday night, I said, hey, fellas, you know the routine. I ask you the same thing every time we about to play on primetime television. Don't embarrass me. Last year versus the Steelers, I was embarrassed. I had to come up here, all the hoopla after we won the division, all of the hype surrounding our football team, no Le'Veon Bell. I was confident that we had a shot. And we embarrassed ourselves. We looked like a shell of ourselves in that first game. Embarrassing. Carolina Panthers on a Monday night last year. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Thanksgiving, I thought we handled ourselves well. Defense was embarrassing. But the offense went out and performed and gave us a shot in that game. We know that we performed well on that Sunday night game versus the Green Bay Packers. But those have been few and far between on primetime stages. So it was nice. It was refreshing to get one on a Sunday. But now it's about Monday. Now it's about the Kansas City Chiefs. Now it's about week 4. Now it's about a 3-0 team and a 2-1 Redskins team, hungry, searching for another win against a quote-unquote good football team. Well, you can take away the air quotes this time. This is a good damn football team in the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the best in the league. Now, I'd tell you that this game would mean a lot more if this were the Falcons. And I just picked the Falcons out of thin air because they're 3-0. They're the only other 3-0 team in the league. Chiefs are 3-0, Falcons are 3-0. Those are your two only 3-0 teams in the league, 2 undefeated teams. And I tell you that this game would mean a lot more if it were an NFC opponent. We're 0-1 right now in the NFC, 0-1 in the division. That hurts. Or excuse me, we're 1-1 in the NFC, 0-1 in the division. The win against the Raiders, it's nice. but it's an AFC opponent. You know why the Cowboys aren't tripping? Because right now they're 2-0 in the NFC conference. They're one loss against the AFC team. You can throw those ones away. If you're going to lose games, you lose them out of conference. Because when the tiebreakers start to add up and we start looking at common opponents, we start looking at your games against teams in the conference, you need to start beating these NFC teams. And so if we don't get it done against the Chiefs, I'm not going to be that upset. 2-2, not going to piss me off. Because it could be worse. We could have been 1-3. We could have been 0-4. But we're playing with house money, and we got a chance to go to 3-1 before the bye week. We got to seize this opportunity. It's in front of us. Go get it. Go take this opportunity and run with it. No shoulda, coulda, buts, ifs, what ifs, none of that. There's an opportunity to go to 3-1 and assert yourself among the league's best in the process. Go do it. And there are some matchups that, as a Redskin fan, if you haven't watched the Chiefs, I'm here to tell you, you should be afraid. Very, very afraid. Tyreek Hill, public enemy number 1. Tyreek Hill. Zeke, the freak. Fastest dude in the league. I don't give a damn what John Ross ran at the combine. Tyreek Hill is the fastest man in the NFL for my money. Him against any player on our defense, one-on-one mismatch. Wherever he goes, there needs to be 11 eyeballs, sets of eyeballs on him. I don't give a damn if he goes in jet sweep motion 50 times. I need all 11 guys watching him go into ghost jet sweep motion, because one of those times, they're going to hand it to his ass. Much like Tavon Austin, he can go in jet sweep motion, ghost motion 1,000,000 times. One of those times, they're going to hand it to his ass. And when they do, we need to be prepared, because if we're not, it's 57 to the crib. He's outrunning every single angle on the football field. He's that damn fast. He's that damn good. They throw him a swing pass out of the backfield, rally to the football, because he may make somebody miss. We do not want him getting to top speed. That's a problem. A big one. And he can catch it too. He's not just a guy you got to worry about out of the backfield. They split him out wide. He's a receiver. They throw the ball. He caught a post route for a touchdown. First touchdown of the game versus Los Angeles in week 3. First touchdown of the game. They get an interception off of Phillip Rivers, sets him up with good field position. 3 plays later, he's running a deep post across the field, burns the corner, touchdown. Safety can't get there in time, touchdown. 44 yards, touchdown. Easy money. We got to be prepared. The other problem, Kareem Hunt, public enemy number 2. Kareem Hunt. Rookie running back out of Toledo. Eating everybody ass alive right now. Ask the Philadelphia Eagles. Couldn't stop him. Ask the Los Angeles Chargers. Couldn't stop him. 174 yards on just 14 carries. Are you kidding me? Ask the New England Patriots. Over 200 all-purpose yards in that game, including 3 touchdowns. 2 in the air, 1 on the ground. Dude's a problem. In between the tackles, outside, this guy is a problem. In the passing game, he's a problem. Got to be on your P's and Q's, Y's and Z's, 4 5s on the side of me. We got to have it. Or he will kick your ass. Public enemy number 3. Travis Kelce. We struggle with tight ends. That hasn't changed. Jared Cook scored a touchdown on us. The lone touchdown the Raiders scored was scored by a tight end. Go figure. Zach Ertz ate us up in week 1. Gerald Everett ate us up in week 2. And yeah, he only had like 2 catches. They were both big catches. One for 61 yards, the other one for like 20 over the middle of the field. Tight ends usually tear us a new asshole. He's one of the league's best. They call him Baby Gronk for a reason. The man's good. And we struggle with good tight ends. We got to find a way to stop him. And right now, I'm telling you, if we don't put a corner on him, a safety on him, he's going to kick our ass too. Because Zach Brown cannot cover Travis Kelce. He cannot. Okay? He cannot. So if we're smart, we're putting Everett on him, or we're putting Nicholson on him, or we're putting Swearinger on him, and we're trying our hand that way. But if you think you're going to put a linebacker on him, you're asking for trouble. Public enemy number 4, Alex Smith. Dun, 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 Captain Checkdown. Well, he ain't been Captain Checkdown this year. He was more Captain Checkdown last game, but they did enough to win. But don't think for 1 second he won't beat you with his legs and he won't beat you with his arm, because he will. You give him an opportunity down the field, don't think for 1 second he won't stroke it on your ass. Got to keep him in the pocket. Can't let him outside the pocket, because he will create off schedule. And he will hurt you with his legs. 3rd and 7, he'll run for 8. Don't think he won't, because he will. He'll run for 8. He'll extend the drive. You let him outside the pocket, don't think for 1 second he won't find Chris Conley. Don't let none of these extra bums, these extras. They got a bunch of extras on their team do the Chiefs. They got extras. Not main players, not stars, just people in the background making noise. They're extras. Don't let Chris Conley do us. Don't let Robinson get us at receiver. Don't let Demetrius Harris get us at the tight end position, because he's capable. Don't let their other tight end, Travis, get us, because he's capable. Don't let these extras. Don't let West. Wake up, Mr. West. Mr. West. Don't let Sarkandrick West get us in this game. No extras. Don't let the dudes that's just on the credits get us. If we get beat by the Stars, add us to the list of teams that got beat by the Stars. But don't let the extras get us. But at the same time, force the extras to be the ones to do us. Because I don't think they can. I'm not afraid of Albert Wilson. I'm not. I'm not. But I am afraid of those 4 public enemies that I just named. And each one of them can hurt us in a multitude of ways. Watch for the shovel pass. They've run the shovel pass to perfection this year. Hurting teams left and right. Killed the Patriots with the shovel pass. Hurt the Eagles with the shovel pass. It's been working. Hurt the damn Chargers with the shovel pass. Albert Wilson for a touchdown. If it ain't broke, they're not going to fix it. Do not let them run the shovel pass for a touchdown in this game. They've done it in each of the first 3 weeks of this season. Defensively, public enemy number 1, MP Double Deuce, the Kansas City thief, Marcus Peters. I'm not afraid to go his way, but be careful. Be very selective of when you go his way. Because when you miss and you make a mistake, he makes you pay when you come his way. I love him. I love his attitude. He's physical. He's feisty. He picked up a unsportsmanlike conduct for getting in the referee's face last game. He don't give a damn. Those are the dudes that should scare the hell out of you. The dudes who don't care are problems. He doesn't care. He don't give a damn about Josh Doxson going up for the ball. He don't give a damn about Terrell Pryor being 6'5". He don't give a damn about Ryan Grant having a resurgence. He don't give a damn about none of that. So be careful. I'm not afraid to go his way. Just be careful when you do. Be selective. Pick your spots. Don't be reckless over there on that side of the field. They got another dude, Terrence Mitchell. I'll try his ass all day long. He's got 3 picks already this season. Picked off 2 passes versus the Chargers last week. I don't give a damn. I will attack his ass. Pick your spots, though. No Eric Berry means our tight ends should be eating and eating good in this game. If Jordan Reed plays, great. If he doesn't, VD, next man up. Let's go get him. Public enemy number 2, Justin Houston. We got to block him. We got to block him. Public enemy number 3, D Ford. Got to block him. We got to block him. Public enemy number 4, Derek Johnson. You got to block him. You got to block him. They got some players over there, man. Houston is not only dominant against the pass, he's nasty in the run game. If I'm running the ball, I'm running right at D Ford, straight to number 55. Stay away from Mr. 50, okay? The guy will hurt you. Run game, pass game, I don't give a damn. If you got a chip, if you got to help Morgan, so be it. Momo may need some help this game. I'm not ashamed to say it. I thought he handled himself well against Khalil Mack, only gave up 1 sack. This is a different animal we're dealing with because unlike Khalil Mack, who was trying to win with speed, Justin Houston will pick Momo's ass up and deposit him right in the lap of Kirk Cousins. 5-0 is a problem. D Ford, if he's in front of Trent will put his ass to sleep. I'm not worried. But if they flip-flop sides and allow D Ford to go after Morgan against Momo, I don't know. Now you got elite speed, a guy that can get up the field against a guy that isn't the most athletic, isn't the fastest out of his stance, but is extremely long. I still like my matchup there, but guys that can duck, it's tough for a 6'6" tackle to get down and push those guys around the pocket. So we'll see. But in any event, there you have it. Take care of the football. It's going to be tough to minimize the penalties. It's going to be loud at Arrowhead. I know what it is. I know what time it is. I know what those boys are about. Can't make the mistakes we made in the last game. Can't make the mistakes we made in week 1 versus the Eagles. We got to be more like the team that we were on the road in week 2, where we minimized the mistakes, played smart football, took care of the football, and when opportunities presented themselves, we took advantage. They put the football on the ground, we pounced on it. Turned into points. Got to score in the red zone. Still haven't turned in a performance yet in the red zone that we can be proud of. We were 2 of 4 in the red zone in this past week's game. Not good enough. Still coming away with field goals. Let's get in the end zone. I don't see this one being a high-scoring affair. I don't. But I think we can win. With that being said, let's go to the final outcome. It's the final outcome. Whoa, yeah. Just because I said I think we can win doesn't mean I'm picking us to win. Don't get the two confused. Right now, I'm hot. And because of my inability to pick the Redskins, we have won 2 straight games. And so, just like last week, I actually thought we were going to lose to the Raiders. I thought the Raiders were going to come in and be too much for us to handle offensively. I didn't think our defense was prepared nor ready to go and take on the big bad Oakland Raiders offense. And so I was nervous. And I didn't think we were going to be able to do enough offensively. Wasn't sold on the offense's ability to outscore the Raiders. And therefore, I thought we were going to lose that game. I legitimately thought we were going to lose. Unlike week 2, where I basically used reverse psychology and voodoo magic. No, we're not going to win. Yes, we're going to win. Against the Rams. I'm not doing that this week. Okay? This week, much like last week, I think the Chiefs are a better team. I think the Chiefs defensively are going to stop the run, force Kirk Cousins to beat them, and I don't know if he's ready to do it. We have not seen Kirk Cousins beat a good defensive team yet. Point me in the direction of the game where he's beaten a good defensive team with good play. On the road, even. He's beat his fair share of mediocre and bad defenses. The Raiders' defense isn't any good. They're improved, but they were bad last year. They're better this year. But they're still bad. And he went out and stroked those boys. Was he great versus the Rams? Nope. Was he great versus the Eagles? Nope. So I'm still not convinced. Last year against a good Panthers defense, a bad team, but a good Panthers defense, what'd he do? Stunk it up. Last game of the season versus a good Giants team that had nothing to play for, a great Giants defense, what'd he do? Stink it up. Packers stunk on defense. What'd he do? Blaze those boys. Arizona Cardinals, good defense, not a good football team. What did he do in that game? Threw a pick to lose us the game. When Jamison Crowder, J.C. Ice, wide ass open for a touchdown, we win. Throws a pick. I haven't seen Kirk step up in these types of games versus these types of defenses. I'm not comfortable picking us to win until Kirk shows me he can go on the road and play. He don't have to go out and go 25 of 30 for 369 and 3 touchdowns. I'm just asking him to go out and manage the game, much like he did versus the Rams. But are you going to have that same effective run game to allow you to manage the game like you did versus the Rams? I don't know. I can't answer that. But what I can tell you is that I expect this game to be a lot low scoring. Okay? I expect both teams to struggle offensively. I think our defense is good. Okay? I'm not sure. I think our defense is good. But at the end of the day, I still see the Chiefs having the upper hand. They've been in big games before. This isn't going to faze them. This is a really big game for us. I think the Chiefs look at this as just another game on the schedule. Now, it's going to be big. It's prime time. They don't get a ton of prime time games at the crib. So this is a big game for them. They realize the Redskins just came off of the destruction of a team in their division. So their eyes are wide open. But are they looking at this game as a big game like we are? Probably not. Probably not. Because they've been in big games before. So this doesn't faze them. But for us, hey man, this is a chance to put ourselves on the national map. We're not even on the grid right now. Okay? Last week's game, what it did was it effectively made our team beep. 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 This is the grid. We beeping over here. Beep. But it's still circling. We're still not on the grid. We're still not on the map. But we beeping over here. We're a possible threat. We're not a threat yet. We're not on the grid. We're not anywhere here. We're out here. Beep. Beep. You know where the Chiefs are? Right in the middle of this grid. Beep. 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 Right in the middle of that grid. They're on the national landscape. We got a chance to put ourselves somewhere on this grid with a win. Hell, with just a good performance, I think that builds confidence. But I'm not here for moral victories. I want the fellas to go out and win. And because I haven't picked us the last 2 weeks, if it's not broke, why the hell would I fix it? Okay? I'm not fixing it. I think we can win this game. But I do think the Chiefs are the better team. And until I see Kirk Cousins go out and beat a team that's perceived to be better, the Raiders were perceived to be better, but we knew we could pass on that defense. We knew that defense wasn't very good. So you knew you had a shot. This team is all around good. Hell, they can even get you on special teams if you're not careful. Remember, Tavon Austin almost ran a punt back on us for a touchdown. He was one shoestring tackle away from hauling ass down the sidelines. They got guys that can do that. So, I'll get to a few of your comments, and then we're going to get out of here. It's been a long episode. I thank y'all for holding it down with me, man. Really long episode, but it was a great episode. All right. Let's start here. Gary B says a win against the Chiefs would definitely change things for me, because if we can pull out a win at Arrowhead, we can literally beat anybody. That's kind of my thought process. Amic89 says, who's better right now than the Chiefs? Nobody, I guess you could say. I mean, I think the Falcons would have something to say about that. But look, your record, you are what your record says you are. They're 3-0. There are no other 3-0 teams in the AFC right now. So they're the best the AFC has to offer. They've beaten the New England Patriots, who we all perceive to be the best team in that conference. They beat them decisively in New England. So I don't know how you could say that they aren't among the league's best right now. Rodney Ray says, more importantly than being 3-1 is that we can limit KC's dynamic offense, score and stall their pass rush, and Happy D. Then we know we are ready to win the rest of our NFC East games. I don't know if I'll take it that far, because every team in our division poses a different threat. You know, the Eagles have a quarterback that can extend plays. So do the Cowboys. They also have a dynamic running game. And there are rivals. You know how family business is. It's unlike any other game on the schedule. When you play teams in the division, they mean more. They're harder to game plan for, because those teams know you. They know your tendencies. They know what you like to do in certain situations. And so you got to try to tendency break more so than you have to against other teams who don't play you as often. What this game against the Kansas City Chiefs represent is an opportunity for us to show that we can play with anybody. End of discussion. Period. LD says, nobody has mentioned number 31. Of course, Fab Moreau. 2 gorgeous punt return tackles to shut down Las Vegas's returns. Fab Moreau has been outstanding on special teams, man. The dude is outstanding. Absolutely. Alvin Nelson says, yes, the way our boys are playing changes my outlook on the season. Twan Johnson says, I think both Reed and Fat Rob should sit out against the Chiefs. Davis can carry us while Reed gets 2 more weeks off to get healthy. Plus, Matt Brown can be our thumper in the meantime. I feel the same way. I don't need either one of those guys rushing back. Neither Mason Foster. Allow him 2 more weeks to rest up. That'll be 3 weeks total those guys would have had to heal. And see if they're ready to return to practice the week of the 49ers game. That's how I would attack that. Excuse me. C. Brunson says, P. Ryan has an average of 2 yards per carry. With his college highlights, I expected more. Fat Rob is hurt. Mac has limited carries. If anything, CT is fragile. Answers? No, there aren't any answers. Like I said, I don't know if the Redskins will look to add a back in just for the time being to get them by with all these injuries. I don't know the severity of P. Ryan's injury. He may not be out any amount of time. He may be out for a few weeks. I don't know the answer to that yet. Fat Rob, he was close to playing in last week's game. If you listen to some of the reports, if that's true, I think you should just dress him, intend on not playing him. If Mac Brown stays healthy, you run Mac Brown, you use CT the way you've used him over the first 3 weeks, and that should be able to get you to the bye week. P. Ryan hasn't been impressive, though. So, like I said, I wouldn't I'm not a fan of his right now. I like the pick. I didn't love it. I thought there were other backs out there that could have helped us more. I was an Alvin Kamara guy. I was a Marlon Mack guy. I thought those guys could have been more explosive, dynamic, but they were looking for a physical runner. That's what they were looking for, and we'll see what happens. It's still early in his career, man. Still got a lot of football left to play. And I'm one of those guys that I love giving young guys an opportunity to develop. Not everyone develops at the same rate. Yeah, we look at Kareem Hunt and we see what he's doing as a rookie. We look at a guy that we could have had if we wanted to draft him in Dalvin Cook and what he's doing in Minnesota. We didn't go that route. So, you know, those guys are developing early and fast, and that's great. Not everybody comes of age that quickly, so we'll see what happens. Gary B says, this past game renewed hope. It showed us what we are capable of. Agreed. X Final Gaming says, you should add a segment called The Winning Blueprint and tell us how or what the winning blueprint I hope I'm not the only one who remembers that. Hey, go ahead, man. You taking me back. Too far back, man. That's I'm almost embarrassed about those days, man. Stop. SW Mike says, I'll say Redskins lose 34-27. They go 2-2 before the bye, and that will give our boys fire for the 49ers during the bye, because if we win, we'll feel like we're too confident and get lazy. See, we can't be afraid to embrace success. That's been the narrative. We're too comfortable being mediocre so that we can have motivation. How about being motivated to just be good because you're good? What I've talked about with teams like the Panthers in the year when they went 15-1 in 2015 and went to the Super Bowl is that when you win, it builds confidence, and confidence builds winning, and winning builds more confidence. And it's a vicious, beautiful, flavor delicious, poetic scripture cycle. Okay? When you win, it builds confidence. When you build confidence, you win. When you win, it builds more confidence. Why do you think Tom Brady wins? It's because Tom Brady expects to win, because he's confident, because they win. Why did they beat the Texans on Sunday? They should have lost that game. Because Tom Brady is confident that every time he steps on the field, they're supposed to win. Why is he that confident? Because they win. When you win, you expect to win. Therefore, you are confident. Therefore, you're confident, so you win. Do you see how that works? So, no, I don't want to lose so we can be motivated to then go win. How about winning so that you can become more confident and expect to beat the 49ers, not lose to the Chiefs so that you can say, all right, we're 2-2, we better beat the 49ers. No. The mindset has to change. As fans, for too long, we've been stuck in this mindset. I want to be under the radar. I'm guilty of that. I want to be under the radar because we play better when no one's talking about us. F that. How about people talk about us, expect us to win, and then guess what? We go out and win. That's what good teams do. You know what the mediocre teams do? They want to hide under the radar. They want teams to not be expecting them to play well and surprise people. I don't want to surprise anybody. I want to tell you, we come in and kick your ass and then show up and kick your ass. Nothing's better than that. Don't you gotta know, Patriots fans, they relish looking at a team in their eyes and saying, hey, we about to bust your ass. And then having Tom Brady go out and go 27-33 for 347 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and they win the game 37-20. That's fun. Not losing games and then saying, nobody believes in us, let's put the chip on our shoulder, and then go out and surprise somebody and say, nobody believed in us, we all we got. That's nice, that's cute, but that's not sustainable. What is sustainable is being a good team, expecting to win, and then going out and winning. And you know what the mark of a good team is? Something that I don't know where we are yet, because I don't have tangible proof of us being able to do this. Good teams go on the road and win against good teams. Because you're not going to play every game at home. You know why the Chiefs are a good team? They went to Foxborough and busted Patriots' ass in their crib. Disrespected them. The highest level of disrespect you can show another team is to go in their house and put a 40 burger on them. Not take your shoes off at the door, track mud all up and down their house, piss in their kitchen sink, go through their fridge, eat all of their favorite delectable treats, go in the pantry, grab a few snacks, walk out without even saying thanks. We're not there yet. We could be if we go to Arrowhead and win against the Chiefs in week 4. In any event, AP 9000 says, gotta go, man. Hey, it's all good, bro. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you, AP. You've been great tonight. Rodney Ray says, segment sounds like a great idea. See, you don't know what he's referencing. He's trying to be funny. Really hope Mac Brown gets more touches early. I think he will. I really think he will. Amic89 says, Chiefs are a monster, so I know why you said we can make it if we dominate the Chiefs. They are so good. They are. Gary B says, offense must take every series like it counts. Must try to score on every possession. Stop riding the defense or squandering red zone opportunities with the right corner fade. They got to find a way to score, and I don't know if the fade route is the best. Kirk doesn't throw a good fade. I just think they need to go ahead and scrap that for now. DC Big Oso says, must play, keep away from the Chiefs. Time of possession is critical. We've won it the last 2 weeks, hence us winning the football game. We'll see if we can do it again versus the Chiefs, who are a very good ball control offense themselves. X Final Gaming says, you guys can win as long as Kareem Hunt doesn't light you up. Otherwise, if he gets over 100 yards rushing, it's over. I can't disagree with that. If he's able to control the game, if he has a big run like he did last week versus the Chargers for over 70 yards and a touchdown, we're screwed. Can't allow him to get off. We've done a really good job stopping the run this year. This is going to be a nice test for us. Gary B also says, I'm waiting for Kirk to put this team on his back and will his way to a victory against a great defense like a true baller. Honestly, don't know for sure if he has it in him. I feel the same exact way. I couldn't have said it better myself, Gary B. Couldn't have said it better myself. Extreme Archery USA says, I think they will have to put a linebacker on Thompson. They can't afford to put a safety on him or a corner. That opens up Reed and furthermore the run game, which opens up the pass. Now, Reed may or may not play. We'll see. But if they can't do it, they're in trouble. Thanks, Mark Vaughn. It was a great show, and I thank all of you for participating in it. Jonathan Lynch says, do you think Zach Brown is important to the defense? Yes, he is important to the defense. His speed to the ball is unquestionably one of the biggest surprises and differences on the defensive side of the football for this team this year. He's been one of the biggest difference makers on this defense, along with DJ Swearinger in 2017. His speed to the ball, out of this world, and his physicality when he gets there, second to none on this defense. Cloud says, would you be surprised if y'all beat the Chiefs? Nope, I wouldn't be. Not after what I saw in week 3. No, I wouldn't be. Rodney Ray says, it's awesome seeing Cook and Freeman doing amazing things in both leagues, coming from my same high school, Miami Central High School. Man, it's a lot of talent in Florida, period. It's a hotbed for talented football players, especially skilled guys on the offensive side of football, man. A lot of talented dudes coming from Miami, straight up. SW Mike says, I see what you mean, but we are not the Patriots, though. We're not. We're not. Facts. But that's what everyone is striving and attaining to be. The New England Patriots. They're the model franchise. I mean, I don't love what they do necessarily with how they go about the draft and trade away all their picks. And a lot of what they've done of late is because of Brady. They're older. They know Brady doesn't have but so much time left. They don't have time to develop rookies. They're pushing all their chips into the center of the table because they're trying to win as many chips as they possibly can while Brady is still their quarterback. Because they know once Brady is gone, they go back to being just like everyone else, a mortal team just like everybody else. But for the meantime, while they have Brady, they don't give a damn about draft picks. Those guys aren't going to help them win now. They want veterans like Brandon Cooks who are going to come in and help them win games like he did versus the Texans on Sunday. But no, everyone is attaining and striving to be the Patriots because they are the gold standard in this league. When you win 5 Super Bowls, what more can you say? Checkmate 101 says, can we bottle up Hunt and want Alex throwing a rock? That's the game plan. Make Alex Smith beat you with his right arm. If he does, you just say, hey, touche, you got us. Great job. But if you allow them to be balanced, you allow Kareem Hunt to, and I like the little pun there with bottle up Hunt, catch up. I get it. I love it. Want more of it. Yeah, if we can't stop him, if we can't bottle him up, as you said, if we can't bottle up Hunt, we in for a long day. But I got confidence that we can do that. We're going to see. Checkmate 101 says, I live in Kansas City. They on me already. Need my skins to pull this one out so I can talk crap. And we're going to try to go out and get this for you, man. You are in enemy territory. I know the feeling. I know what you're going through. And hopefully we can get it done for you. Rodney Ray says, I'm loving this Redskins team this season, from coaching staff to the practice squad players to everyone is playing with an edge. I feel the same way. I think that this team is different this year, but we can feel that all we want. The proof is on the field. They got to go out and show that they're different. We can't talk about them being different. They got to show that they're different. Last week's game against the Raiders looked like a different team. We're going to find out again in week 4, not arguably, our biggest test to date this season. Week 4 versus the Chiefs. A lot of fun. I can't wait. Bart Scott. Can't wait. And with that, thank you guys for joining me, man. It's been a great show. Excellent participation from you guys. Love the fact that you were able to stick it out with me. And if you weren't able to catch the whole show, it's available on playback. Again, if you can donate to the channel, here's how you do so: via PayPal. The link is in the description. The link is right before you on the screen right now, but it's also in the description. In the description box, click on the link. It'll take you straight to where you can donate. And once again, I want to thank Gary B for donating, my man Sean Mack for donating, Quinto Snoo for donating, my man Hawk for donating. I really appreciate all of your contributions to this channel. We're trying to take it to the next level, and the best way that I'm going to be able to do that is by you guys contributing to the Louie T Network. In any event, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Redskins. Big matchup, primetime television, road game, hostile environment, undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Should be a hell of a ball game. Bart Scott can't wait. As always, you know the drill, fellas. Go get them, fellas. Bring home the dub. I'll see y'all next week. Monday Night Football overtime. Have a good one.